Right, so good. Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. This morning the UWCL continues as we kick off this weekend's action with Arsenal taking on Aston Villa. So a really interesting game today. Arsenal, who are pushing for the title, against an Aston Villa side who are pushing for the top half. Villa have already proved a very difficult side to play this season. In their two games against Brighton and Chelsea, they put up a really strong fight against strong opposition. As for Arsenal, well, it was a good start in the first two matches, but a stumbling block against Manchester United last weekend leaves them 2 points off the top. So today is an important one for Arsenal. They'll be looking to get back to winning ways. And as for Aston Villa, well, they've only got 1 point to their name so far this season. Of course, they have played one less game than every other team in the division, but they're still in a really strong point, and I think they're going to give Arsenal a really decent game, so I think it's going to be a good one. So yeah, should be a very enjoyable watch. I think we've seen Aston Villa in recent season. We even saw at the back end of last season where they beat Arsenal. They can really give a fight to these sorts of teams. In match week 2, they made Chelsea work for a victory in that match, and actually for the first half, they were probably the better team in that game. And I think, yeah, as I say, last season, Chelsea probably just shouldn't have won that match. It was 1-0, and that came right at the end of the game. Villa fought so hard last season. In the Arsenal game, they managed to beat them. They put up a good fight against Man City as well. So this is a side who have a real reputation now of being able to win those games where they are underdogs. So I think this is going to be a tough game today. Arsenal, though, have done really well to start this season. They opened up with London City Lionesses, who were very poor at the back, but Arsenal took full advantage of that. And then similar in the West Ham game, where West Ham left a lot of gaps. They didn't really, I mean, the goalkeeper probably should have done a lot better on that day, but Arsenal really punished that defensive line. So yeah, should be interesting to see what's going to be like today, because I think against Man United, when they were really tested against a strong defensive team, they struggled. So Arsenal have now got to get over that line of being able to beat teams that are good defensively. And so, yeah, I think today's going to be a really good test, because Villa are a very strong defensive side. And if Arsenal can pull them apart in the way they did against West Ham and London City, then you know, they really show their title credentials. But if they slip up similar to how they did against United, then questions arise once again. Paul, welcome to the stream. Hello, Arsenal lost the league already. Need perfect season to win the WSL. I wouldn't say Arsenal have won the league, lost the league yet. I think there's going to be a lot more of a share of the points amongst those top sides. I don't see Chelsea going invincible again. Perhaps they will, but I think it's going to be a very difficult feat to replicate. I think the strength of WSL, we've already seen Chelsea struggle somewhat against Leicester City, so I definitely don't think they're going to be perfect this season. I think a big test for Chelsea will come next weekend. I know they've already beaten Man City, but City was still figuring things out. I think City's biggest weakness at the moment is probably defensively. The big test for Chelsea will come in 2 weeks' time when they face Manchester United, because I think United are so difficult to beat. The question for United is going to be, can they sustain their overperformance in front of goal? But yeah, I think they're looking really strong as well at the moment. So we're shaping up to have a really competitive season in the WSL. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to this game. With that said, let's take a look at the lineups for this match. Of course, we are at the Emirates Stadium today. So we'll start with the hosts, Arsenal. It's a usual 4-2-3-1 for Arsenal. In goal, Daphne van Domselaar. Not a perfect start to this season, but still a reliable shot stopper. Recently voted 5th in the Yashin Trophy. In the back four, it's Fox, Reed, Catley and McKay, the same back four that have started every game this season for the Gunners. In the pivot, likewise, no changes as Caldente lines up alongside Kim Little. Caldente second place in the Ballon d'Or. Many feel that was harsh that she didn't win it. Then across the three, Mead, Marnham and Olivia Smith. And leading the line, it's Alessia Russo. Have to say, I really like this Arsenal attacking combination they've got in this game. I think against United, they made mistakes in personnel choices, and I think the fact they didn't swap Smith and Ford early over quick enough was a real problem for Arsenal. But with Smith on the left-hand side, an ability to cut in and really offer a threat to that Villa backline, and that allows McCabe then to overlap. I think that left-hand side for Arsenal is going to look really dangerous. And then on the other side, you've got Beth Mead, who's really good at holding the width and creating chances from wide areas. So I think they'll have a really nice balance with their wide players today. The big question is going to be, how do you break down that Villa back three? Because it's going to be a back five at times. And if Arsenal are going player for player in those sorts of roles, it's going to take players with a little bit of magic. players like Mariano Caldente, players like Olivia Smith, who can operate in and around the penalty area, can take shots from range, and can put Arsenal under pressure. And that not only is going to give them opportunities to score from range, but it's also going to draw that Villa defence out to have to deal with those threats. So I think Arsenal today will look to try and dominate the ball as they usually do, control the game as they usually look to do. But the biggest question for me is going to be, can they draw Villa out and then create pockets of space for them to be able to play into their attacking players? That's going to be the big question. But yeah, I think Villa are definitely, they're not unbeatable, but the fact that they've shown to be really difficult to beat Chelsea, probably with a 2-1 game would have been a fair assessment of that one. I think that third goal coming from a scrappy corner makes Chelsea's victory look more comprehensive than it is. And then obviously they drew with Brighton in match week 1, but that Brighton side have gone on to smash West Ham, and they were probably the better side for at least 45 minutes against Man City. So I think it'll be difficult today for Arsenal to break Villa down, but if they can, they'll be in a really strong position. Let's take a look then at the side for the Villas. There's a few changes, a few forced through suspension. In goal, it's Sabrine D'Angelo returning from a concussion that saw her ruled out of match week 2. In the back three, it's Wilms, Patton and Deland. Then across the four, Grant, Kendall, Beijings and Maltby. Lucy Maltby coming in for a WSL start, replacing the suspended Moritz. In attacking midfield, it'll be Missy Bo-Kearns, a slightly higher role for her today. And then a front line of Ebony Salmon alongside Rachel Daly. So again, I think this Villa side is really strong. I think what they'll look to do is exactly what Arsenal struggle to deal with, and that is really organised and disciplined defensive low block, and then looking to transition effectively. And it really hurt Chelsea. And also they're very good at pressing. And we've seen Arsenal this season struggle to play out from the back, especially against teams that play an aggressive pressing shape. So yeah, I think the problem for Arsenal today is going to be that Villa's setup is exactly Arsenal's kryptonite, in terms of they are able to transition really effectively, and Arsenal's problems usually come in transition. I think in the United game, the best chances for United were those balls in behind, where they were able to draw Arsenal onto them and then play the ball in behind. And actually there were 2 times where, if it wasn't for brilliant defending from Reed and Catley, they probably would have got opened up. So I've got to be mindful of that today, because not only are Villa better at transitioning than United are, but they also line up with the front 2. And so they could put more pressure on those Arsenal centre-backs. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes today. But yeah, I do think Villa will give Arsenal a really good game. I think Arsenal probably got the quality just about to edge it. But I don't think this will be a landslide victory. I saw a prediction model saying that, you know, Arsenal probably the second most. It was looking at percentage chance of victory. And obviously Chelsea probably have the highest this weekend. And then Manchester City with London City. But I think Villa, or Arsenal then against Villa, was third, and I just don't agree with that. I think it's going to be a really difficult game for Arsenal today. It's a sort of game that's going to come down to a 1-2 goal margin at best. So yeah, I think it will be a tight one. I'll be very surprised if Arsenal keep a clean sheet today, because I think the Arsenal defensive structure hasn't looked brilliant so far this season. The individuals have done well, but there's too many errors in there that are leading to goal-scoring opportunities. So far this season, there's been 2 huge mistakes that saw the London City goal and then saw the goal against West Ham. Obviously, that one a little bit more of a extraneous variable, obviously. I don't expect Daphne Van Domstar to drop a cross into the back of our own net again, but yeah, I do think what we've seen so far is Arsenal giving the ball away in their own half and teams being able to score from that. And Villa are very good at generating those high turnovers, as we saw against Chelsea. So that's going to be the really interesting tactical battle. Can Aston Villa win the ball back in that Arsenal final third and then look to create from those positions? That could be really interesting. And let's see what you guys are saying in chat then. Johannes, welcome to the stream. Paul saying United depth isn't sustainable, I reckon. Yeah, that's my biggest criticism of United. I think the problem could be for their season is that, as we're already seeing, a few injuries and they're in trouble. They've got Jade Riviere at the moment and Bizet's playing right back. They've got Millie Turner out injured. If a centre-back has to come off with an injury or a suspension or just needs resting, they can't do that. They don't have another centre-back. So, yeah, I think United's problem will probably be that depth. Chelmer, welcome, saying, come on Aston Villa, you've got this. I do think they'll give Arsenal a very good game today, as I say. Phil says, I think this all depends on how high Villa can get the wing-backs. If we pin them back, I think we'll be okay. But I think Ebony Salmon could be the big threat. I agree totally. You know, if they can pin those wing-backs back, I'm not sure they'll be able to, because Villa are very good at being able to break forwards. But they've also got that front pair, and I think if those two can combine effectively, this will be quite difficult today for Arsenal. But yeah, I assume there's no shape change for Villa either. I was slightly surprised to see the front line as it is, because Most recently, we haven't seen Rachel Daly operating as one of the two strikers. It's tended to be someone like Kirsty Hansen. Last season, it was Gabby Nunes, and that allows them to have Daly a little bit deeper. So I'm a little surprised by that, but yeah, so Daly's going to be slightly further forwards. I'm guessing they want her physicality and her hold-up up there today for Aston Villa, but in terms of that transitional threat, I do think it weakens it somewhat, but they're still a very good side, and Missy Bo-Kearns as that attacking midfielder, pulling the strings in there will be good. Big day for Lucia Kendall, because this is a huge step up in quality. Big day for Lucy Maltby, someone who hasn't played a lot of WSL football. Neither of those have played a lot of WSL football, and they're really thrown into the fire today. So yeah, I do think it's going to be a big test for those, but if they can settle quickly into this game and Villa can settle into their shape, I think they'll be okay in this game, Aston Villa. I don't think they're going to get walked over, as many Arsenal fans will probably hope for today. So yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game. I think Arsenal will probably just edge it, but it will be close. Rise, there should be a fun game for the neutrals, definitely. It's the kind of game that I'm very intrigued to see what happens. Same with Liverpool, Man United tomorrow. A lot of people are expecting United to walk all over Liverpool, but I think if you look at the underlying numbers, Liverpool have actually played okay this season, and they've really been let down by their goalkeeper. But we saw Rafaela Borgraf come back in the week, and obviously there's a lot of controversy, surrounding that. But she is a big step up in quality. So from purely a tactical perspective and a personnel perspective, that definitely makes Liverpool a stronger side. So if she is to start tomorrow, I think that will be a much more difficult game for United than many expect. Well, players coming out of the tunnel then. So let's get into predictions for this game. If you're watching along the show, please put your scoreline prediction in the live chat and I'll read it out ahead of kickoff. We've also got the poll in chat, which you can vote in. 94 votes so far, 90% going for Arsenal. I can't say I'm surprised. Great to see a strong Arsenal support in the chat today. 5% then going for Aston Villa and 4% going for a draw. So most people expecting an Arsenal victory. As for my prediction, I think it will be tight. I do think Arsenal will win this game though. I'm going to say Arsenal 2, Aston Villa 1. I think it'll be tight. I think it'll be very tight. I think Arsenal probably open the scoring, and that'll be Mario Nicaldente. I'm going to say from the penalty spot. I think then Aston Villa will get one back. It will be in transition. Ebony Salmon breaking in behind scores. I think they'll go into the break 1-0. I think it'll then be an Arsenal substitute, possibly. I'll say Stina Blackstenius. I think they'll just be able to bring on Kelly, bring on Blackstenius around the 60th minute, double change, and that just has the impact to get them over the line. So I'll say 2-1 for Arsenal. As for the predictions in the chat, Ryzen going 2-1, Phil 4-1. Fair enough. Bold prediction from Phil today. Definitely going against my expectation that Villa will be competitive. Gacho, welcome to the stream, just puts Arsenal. I'll take that as an Arsenal prediction. But yeah, do get your scoreline predictions in the live chat if you want to get involved as we prepare for kickoff. But it's going to be really interesting today. For some reason, Sky seems to think that Beth Mead is going to be in attacking midfield. So we'll see if that does come to fruition. But I would expect it to be Mead on the right-hand side, Marnham in the 10 and Olivia Smith on the left-hand side. If it's how Sky's put it on their graphic, which I don't trust, that would be very confusing, but we'll see what they do. Paul saying 3-1, come on you Gunners, fair enough. FL Bailey scenes, if this was the only independent channel who got the rights approval to show the matches. If anyone's got a spare few million down the back of the sofa, let us know and we'll buy the rights to the games. But yeah, unfortunately, we can't purchase the rights to the matches at the moment. FL Bailey going for 4-0. So a lot of bold predictions in the way of Arsenal. I just don't think they're going to get it all their own way, say Arsenal. I think it will be a tight game. I do think they'll just about win, but it will definitely be, I think, closer than 4-0 or 3-1. So yeah, that's why I've gone 4-2. Yeah, should be a good one. Looking forward to it. Arsenal players in a huddle on the field. Same for the Villa players. So we'll start to get ready for kick-off here as we kick off game week 4 of this WSL season. It's been a great start to the campaign so far. We've got another exciting weekend of action this weekend. I think obviously with next weekend on the horizon, that's the most exciting one. 2 big fixtures, Man City, Arsenal and Chelsea versus Manchester United. But there's still so much quality in the games this weekend. So yeah, lots to look forward to across today and tomorrow. Of course, most of the matches tomorrow. We do still have this one to look forward to today. And Arsenal taking on Aston Villa. Jayan going 3-1. Arsenal has trouble keeping clean sheets. I would agree with that. And I think looking at the strength of that Villa front line and how they're able to break in behind, I think they will pose a threat to Arsenal today. So yeah, I would agree that Arsenal could struggle to keep a clean sheet. Kwesige Didas going 3-1 Arsenal as well. So, yeah, quite a common prediction in the live chat is Arsenal will score a few goals, but they're definitely going to concede. So, I think only FPL Bailey has gone for a clean sheet. So, yeah, fair enough. A few different predictions coming in to the live chat, but a lot of people expecting Arsenal to win, but to concede, I think is the general consensus. And it's going to be Aston Villa to get us underway here at the Emirates Stadium, waiting for the referee's whistle. They knock it back and we're underway for the first game of this UWCL weekend. I've accidentally put on the first half timer, but there we go, we're underway. Villa sending it long and they're looking to sting Arsenal immediately with the direct ball, but it's overturned and it's Arsenal in possession. Catley plays it forward. Russo tries to hold it up. It's good hold up from the forward. Now into Caldente, out to the left-hand side. Knocked down the line by Beth Mead, and it's McCabe now overlapping, and that's blocked well by Chastity Grant, but she can't stop it going out for a corner, and that will allow Arsenal to put some pressure on the ball. Immediately, not sure why it's Mead on the left and Smith on the right. I feel like that just gets less out of Olivia Smith. Look at the goal Smith scored in the opening game week. It was cutting from the left-hand side and striking it on her right foot. I'm not sure why Slagers keeps putting her on the right wing, but especially not sure why she'd do it with Mead on the pitch. I think Mead's better off the right anyway. But there we go, and it's Caldente over this corner as Arsenal look to pose a threat to this Villa backline. Lays it into Alessia Russo, but she tries to flick it towards goal and it's wide of the mark. It's already then Arsenal putting Villa under a bit of pressure. It's good to see McCabe overlapping. I think we've seen a bit less of that this season, or at least her being less effective in that position. So yeah, that's good to see. I think we've seen a fair bit of McCabe inverting, but I think she's definitely better overlapping rather than making those narrow runs. But yeah, so already posing a threat there, and I managed to win the corner. Aston Villa on the ball now. Wilms backed into a corner and ends up trying to play a forward pass. Cut out well by Caldente. And it's Arsenal now back in possession. Catley. Caldente slots it through the line into Mead. Now it's McCabe, who's forced backwards. And now Catley. Reed. Steph Catley. And it's back to McCabe. I did enjoy, one of my favourite things from the Ballon d'Or voting was seeing that there was one solitary individual who put Steph Catley as the third best player in the world last season. I would love to know who that was, but I respect going for someone different. Here's Reed, who's had a really solid start to this season, gaining starting minutes, obviously Arsenal with the absent Leah Williamson. And that's back to Van Domselaar. Here is Catley on the left-hand side. Arsenal looking to progress up the field. A ball into the channel, and it's Alessia Russo who's ran wide to receive it. Can she now find a ball across the penalty area? Looks to cut it back. Here's McKay bursting into the box. She's outrun herself a little. Manages to work it back to Russo. Good work from the fullback. Her cross is blocked, and Missy Bo-Kearns gets it away. Not convincingly, though. Here is Mead. Goes back to Catley. Now Mariona Caldente, can she pick out a forward pass? Wanted to play that in behind to Russo. Wasn't quite going to work out for her. Now Catley. And it's Reed again. Manages to beat one player. Tries to slot it through the lines and it's overturned. And here come Aston Villa on the break. Grant. Forced back to Wilms. What I've liked seeing already from Arsenal is they're regrouping quite well. A lot better than they have in recent weeks. So oftentimes when they lose the ball, they don't track back quick enough, and that allows teams a moment just to get that ball in behind. But I think the counter-pressing in this first 3 minutes has been quite effective. They're really stopping Villa from playing that ball in behind. They're working hard to try and get it back immediately. So yeah, just an observation from the first few minutes here. Here's Katie Reed. Now Fox is in a slightly deeper position. Finds Smith. And she's going to try a give and go with Frida Marnham, and that will release Olivia Smith down the right-hand side. She's got the beating of De Landes. She's tried to play that ball too early. Patton knocks it out of play for a corner, but that has to be better from Smith. She had space there and time to really drive into it. It's a lovely give and go with herself and Frida Marnham. Perfect way to pass from the Norwegian attacking midfielder. But Smith's beaten there. She's beaten Ocean De Landes. She had time to really pick out an option, but she tries to force that ball across too early. And again, I spoke about this when I analysed Smith over the summer. That decision-making still just a little bit lacking. But yeah, they're a poor decision, and it's cost Arsenal a chance at goal, really. They do not have a corner to make up for it. And it's going to be McCabe over this one. It's an in-swinger, aimed towards the back post, head away by Vilms. It'll drop in there for Caldente. Good recovery from Bijings, but that will drop for Kim Little, and Arsenal can keep the pressure on. Fox through the lines, great ball to Marnham, across the box, really good goalkeeping from Sabrine D'Angelo, the former Arsenal shot stopper, of course. Got out to that one well. Kim Little lifting the ball over the top. Frida Marnham can't quite get there. Been one-way traffic so far in this game though. Arsenal really putting the villains under the cosh. Phil says Smith has to put that in front of Russo, absolutely. But yeah, I mean that's the sort of thing you expect from a young player. Just that poor decision making. And I think just kind of desperate to get an assist, get involved with the goals a little bit more. So just forcing that ball, but yeah, didn't need to. She was in a great position. Kendall. Back to De Landes. Here's Kendall. Space isn't available on the left-hand side. Goes back inside to Missy Kearns, who dropped in effectively. Here is Daly. Now Missy Kearns lifting it in behind, and it's Villa away here. Rachel Maltby, looking to break onto the ball down the left-hand side. Back to Van Domselaar, who clears it out of play. And that will allow Villa to keep the pressure on. That's one of my biggest criticisms of Van Domselaar this season, is when she sweeps up the ball, she knocks it out of play every time. And I'm not sure why she started doing it. Because last season she'd looked to try and play a pass out, she looked to clear it forwards, but she just knocks it out of play and it puts them under more pressure. Ola Watterson says, check your mic is too low. If anyone else can let me know if that's all right. It seems to be okay on my screen, but let me know if that is a problem. Here's Grant, knocks it across to Bijings, wants to turn out here, past the left-hand side, won't quite find Rachel Maltby, and that's out for an Arsenal throw. But yeah, Maltby's just got to be a little bit wider there, but that's all right. Young player, it's a big opportunity for her today to really stake a claim to start in this Villa side. There's also a lot of responsibility. It's her first start of the season. She only made a handful at the back end of last season, so yeah. Phil says, I think she is on the right to learn that stuff. Oh yeah, Smith. Sorry, I've wondered what we were talking about there. Yeah, absolutely. In terms of that final ball, I think what they're looking to get from Olivia Smith is someone who is a little more of a creator rather than just an out-and-out goal scorer. She often looks to cut inside and shoot from the left-hand side. I think from the right, they want her to be playing those balls across, but yeah, just rushed that a little bit too early. Here's Reed, composed, and looks to slot a ball through to Marnham. That's really tidy. Marnham out of options though, and it's back to Van Domselaar. And now Katie Reed will lift it forwards. Russo tries to touch it down to a teammate, but she can't. It's Bijings, tries to just fashion a pass to Daly. Doesn't quite come off, and it's Kim Little in possession. Now Catley. One of the biggest things I've observed this season, I think, something I theorised throughout last season, is there's a lot of young players that have stepped into this league for the first time and have looked really good. That's brilliant from Russo to nick that ball off the defender, and Arsenal are in now. Alessia Russo looks to play it across to Mead, has to chest it down. Can she get a shot away? Beth Mead, too many touches, does still have the ball, and that's blocked. And it's going to drop in there for McCabe. Now Kim Little. Mariona Caldente takes aim, and it's blocked wide. But back to my point, I think when you look at players like Katie Reed, who've stepped into the UWCL and looked so good this season, Maltby and Kendall have stepped into this game here and both look fairly comfortable with their roles and what they've got to do in this system. I think we've seen Toko Koga stepped into this league for Tottenham, looks really good. So I think we'll start to see more of that. But the young crop coming through are so talented. And I think we need managers who are going to put their faith in them. But René Slegers is absolutely doing that with the number of young players that we've seen Arsenal use this season already. But yeah, Mead here just had to take too many touches there to try and fashion a shot. And that killed the Arsenal move. Caldente does manage to get a corner from it. It's McCabe who'll deliver it to the back post. Russo back across the face of goal. Chance for Frida Marsh. She can turn it goalwards. D'Angelo, really good goalkeeping. It kicks up in front of her and she just pounces on it really effectively. Deals with the Arsenal threat, but you can see what they're looking to do with their corners. They look to hang them to the back post. They want to then head back across goal, and then someone look to convert it towards the front post. So far it hasn't worked, but they are definitely threatening. Pass out, that's poor. Chance now for Frida Marnham in on goal, and it's there. Arsenal 1, Aston Villa 0. And that's really sloppy out from the back for Aston Villa. A disappointing way to concede. Arsenal have had all of the chances though, and it's hard to say that wasn't coming for the Gunners. Villa trying to play out from the back. It's sloppy from their defensive midfield. I think it was Missy Kearns there. And it concedes the goal. Yeah, they're playing out from this left-hand side. It's a bit of an odd area to try and play that pass in there from the left centre-back into Missy Kearns. She wants to go to the player horizontal to her, Kendall. That pass is never on. And Caldente gets a foot in front of it, intercepts it. It falls nicely to Frida Marnham, who tucks it away well. Arsenal 1, Aston Villa 0. Really tidy finish from Marnham. She was composed in there. It's easy to rush that sort of shot. D'Angelo was rushing out to her quite quickly as well. But she just took a moment, slotted it past the goalkeeper, and Arsenal lead here at the Emirates. And I think that's important because the longer that they didn't get that goal, despite playing well, I think that gives Villa the confidence to go forwards in this game, but they've really crushed that now. And that's an important early goal for the Gunners. Jelly Robinson's cheering on that goal in chat. Mariona saying it's Phil saying Mariona tackle assist. Yeah, I'm not sure how much he intended to play that pass through into Marnham, but it worked out very nicely for her. Here is Chastity Grant. Now it's a pass back to Lynn Vilms. Now Van Domselaar. And again under pressure from Alessia Russo. Wasn't Van Domselaar, sorry, Sabrina D'Angelo. One there by Rachel Daly brings it down under her control. Well, Caldente just slightly overzealous in her attempts to win the ball back there and does concede a free kick. So Aston Villa can look to progress from this. And actually Missy Kearns will relinquish responsibility of that to Patton. That will just allow Villa to get up the pitch and they'll look to go direct with it here from Anna Patton. And she's just kicked it out of play for an Arsenal goal kick, and that's a real shame. That's a chance of Villa to try and put Arsenal under a little bit of pressure. They wanted to go direct, they wanted to try and put it in behind, but there wasn't really any space there, and that goes out for a goal kick. Norma celebrating in the live chat saying, yes, come on you Gunners. Good start to the game for Arsenal. And well, in the WSL since July 2016, Arsenal have never lost at home when scoring at first. That's certainly a good omen today for Arsenal. But I don't think they can afford to rest on their laurels at all. I think if they slow down, Villa will start to get a bit more of a stranglehold in this game. That's strong from Kim Little in there in the physical battle against the recovering Everly Salmon. Just manages to shield it from her and maintain possession. Now Steph Catley. Van Domselaar. Forward pass into Kim Little, and that's really tidy footwork there from Little. Now to Catley. And it's out wide into Mead. Now McCabe. Here is Steph Catley. Marnham. Tries to slot the ball through the lines into Beth Mead. Now Mariona Caldente, overturned well by Missy Kearns, and she'll knock it all the way back to her goalkeeper. Jay saying, thoughts on Caldente getting robbed of the Ballon d'Or? I've done a 15-minute video on why I think she deserved to win it. Well, I spoke a bit about Bon Mati predominantly, but I also spoke about Caldente, so if you want to watch that, go and check that out after the stream. But yeah, I thought Caldente deserved the Ballon d'Or. I thought she had such a good season. Arsenal was instrumental behind them winning the Women's Champions League, and obviously was really important for Spain in getting to the Euros final as well. D'Angelo. Now Missy Kearns. D'Angelo pass into Kendall. And here's Anna Patton. Looks to play a ball in behind, and that one massively misplaced. And that's out for an Arsenal throw. And yeah, by the way, to everyone saying about the fact the games aren't on YouTube, completely agree. That has really screwed international fans. I think the lack of transparency also on where games are being broadcast is really difficult to find. In the UK, fortunately, we've got there's some really good independent channels that are good at communicating where the games are being shown. I'm not sure if anything exists like that internationally. So yeah, it's a difficult situation at the moment. I think the WSL have really struggled with dealing with international coverage. Ball in behind. That's slightly suspect from Fox. She's going to be in trouble here because that was a ball in behind, and Fox has blocked the run. I think she'll just be okay in terms of a card, Because there's a question about a red card here, but I don't think it will be. I think she was going to be covered back there by Katie Reid. They've cut away before we could see the colour of the card. But the ball's in behind. I'm not sure how much. I don't think she's played any of the ball there. I think that she's very lucky if this isn't a red. But I think they'll make the argument that Reid would have been able to cover her. And it's just a yellow card for Emily Fox. I think that's probably fair. Van Domselaar was coming out. She probably would have got to that ball anyway. But Fox is very fortunate. I think the argument would be the goalkeeper's come, so she's in play. Reid was in the vicinity, so she could have recovered it. I just think if that's up the other end, that's potentially a red card. But Fox potentially getting away with one there. I think the goalkeeper's in play enough for that to be okay, but that was a bit of a suspect situation. Villa played that ball in behind, Salmon was running onto it, and Fox completely misses the ball and just takes out the forward. So I think she's somewhat fortunate, but there we go. Taylor says there's no YouTube International. Yeah, exactly. But if you can find a VPN and manage to watch it for free in another country, that's probably the easiest way to do it. Personally, I'm very fortunate to live in the country where it's being broadcast. And that is why we do this coverage, for people who can't watch the game. I know it's not perfect, but it does offer at least a way of watching the game, or at least, hearing how the game is being played. Either way, Salmon's still down receiving treatment. But she does seem to be okay, just a little bit shaken. I don't know if shaken's the right word. It wasn't that aggressive, but yeah. Definitely a strong challenge from Fox. But yeah, 16 minutes in them, and it's an Aston Villa free kick in a really good area. I feel like they've got to put this on goal. Van Domselaar's made some mistakes this season. Got to put her under pressure early on. Villa haven't had a shot yet in this game. I think you've just got to put this on target. Don't try and play around and create an opportunity. Just got to put this on target. They've got Beijing's over it. And they've got, I think Lim Vilms is the other player stepping up over this. Will they be able to put Van Domselaar under pressure here? Looks like Vilms will take. And that's the free kick now for Villa. Beijing runs over the ball. Vilms steps up, strikes it on goal. It's just wide of the mark. I thought that was going to be a little bit of a threat for Van Domselaar, but it bounces wide. There's a conversation there. The Villa players are furious. They feel that's definitely come off an Arsenal player. It hasn't been given as a goal kick. We'll have a look. Oh yeah, no, Van Domselaar saved that. That was on target. It's a really good free kick. Van Domselaar's poked it wide. Not sure how they've given that as a goal kick. Oh no, it's a corner. There we go. Justice does prevail, and now Aston Villa can look to put Arsenal under more pressure towards the near post, and that's cleared out for an Aston Villa throw in, and a chance to put more pressure on Arsenal. Here's Salmon. She'll let it drop, and Villa can use it now. Here's Maltby. Waiting for an option to throw it to. Gives it into Salmon's feet, who wants to turn Fox here. And obviously Fox does have to be careful now on a yellow card. That's not how to play well by Kim Little. Another chance for Aston Villa from this throw-in. And she's looking for a short option here. Maltby goes in towards the penalty area, headed away by Kim Little. Here's Kendall, knocks it on to Lynn Vilms, who strikes it from range, and that one just off of, well, it just goes wide of the mark, and it hits the beam behind the goal. Just wide there from Lynn Vilms. Don't mind it from that sort of area though. Sort of that 25-yard range. Just looking to strike it. It was a little bit further wide than I thought, to be fair. But still, don't mind a shot from that sort of area at this point in the game. Here's Van Domselaar. Looking just to lift it out to the left-hand side. Rousseau can't win it in the air, and it'll drop now for Chastity Grant, who tries to play it forward, blocked off the back of Katie McCabe. And that will be an Aston Villa throw-in. last few minutes, Villa have started just to sway this game in their favour. I think they've taken a bit of momentum from that ball in behind that forced the Fox challenge. But yeah, they've started to take a little bit of belief from that, and they're playing some nice football. Maltby. Nice turn there, out of trouble. Can't quite execute the pass forwards though, and she's now under pressure from Smith and loses out to Emily Fox, who bursts down the right-hand side. Here's Marnham, wants to put the ball into the box. Great recovery from Anna Patton there to get in front of that cross. Pokes it out of play for an Arsenal throw. But Maltby there, the youngster, just getting caught in possession. Overcomplicated it a little. And now Arsenal with the throw-in up the field allows them to put a bit of pressure on this Villa defence. Here's Fox. Caldente wants to go with the pass down the line, but it goes out of play for a Villa goal kick. Definitely a high energy start to this game. And in the last 10 minutes, yeah, possession stats showing what I was speaking about, 62% of the ball with Aston Villa, 38% with Arsenal. They've recovered really well from that Marnham goal. And that was highlighted with the chance they had with Salmon getting taken out by Fox. Here's D'Angelo. Clipping the ball forwards, flicked on by Catley. Here's Grant, wants to put it in behind, and Salmon is onside, wants to take on Fox. And they've got to try and make more of that. There is an offside flag after the fact. Not sure why that was so late from the assistant referee. But there we go. Just want to. I think that what Villa have got to do is really target Fox now. Because we saw there she's panicking slightly. She's already on a yellow card. It's not normal of Fox. Fox is fantastic at recovering back. As a raid out for the first 3 weeks of the season. But in this game, she's already committed one yellow card offence. She's now on a card. It just feels like every time Villa go near her, she's a little bit nervy. McCabe. Pass that wide into Mead. Tidy footwork from Beth Mead. And now she'll look to play it in behind. Flick round the corner from Rousseau. He'll put Patton under pressure. Really good defending from Anna Patton. Once again, showing her quality. She's stepped up massively in the last year, Patton, under Arroyo. Flicked away by Vilms. It'll drop in there now for Marnham. Not quite dealt with by Aston Villa. As they clear it away, but only as far as Olivia Smith. Now it's Fox. Into Smith. Nice hold up from Smith. Needs a pass inside. Nothing available. And it's forced back to Kim Little, who looked to spin around Bijings. McCabe. Caldente. Now out to the right-hand side. Fox. Back inside to Marnham. Now Caldente. Little. It's nice football from Arsenal, but it's not getting anywhere. Caldente. Smith. This is really nice. Now they've dragged Villa high up the pitch. Marnham pokes it into Rousseau. McKay through the lines into Fox. Back to Rousseau. That was one pass when he falls again for Rousseau. It's saved well by D'Angelo. Yeah, they tried to overplay a little bit there. It's really good football. Arsenal with some combinations deeper in the field. Drew Aston Villa forward. They played into that space, but I think they just overplayed. Fox got into the penalty area and passed it back to Rousseau. I'm not sure she needed to do that. I think she just got to turn and have a shot there. Even if that's not her natural instinct. No, just got to have a shot. And Little and Fox getting the wires crossed there, and that's out for an Aston Villa throw-in. Harry, welcome to the stream. Says, who scored? It was a goal from Frida Marnham. Villa trying to play out from the back. It was a very stupid pass from Missy Beaucans trying to go horizontal to Kendall. It just wasn't on. And Caldente managed to poke it to Marnham. How much she meant to poke it to Marnham, it's difficult to say, but she managed to get it there and Marnham tucked it away nicely. Here's Lynn Vilms. Carries on to that pass well. Grant into Daly. Lovely combination to Lynn Vilms now. They run out of room though. And it's back to Chastity. Grant has just slotted in as a right centre half for a moment. Here is Ocean de Landes. Pass through the lines into Salmon, whose touch evades her slightly. Little does really well there to win back and then hold on to possession. Here is Katie Reid. Joe, welcome to the stream. Unfortunate to hear that you can't find any way to watch it. I'm hoping that this coverage can suffice. Here is Van Domselaar. Now Reid. No forward option. It's back to Daphne Van Domselaar again into Katie Reid. Salmon will put her under pressure here. Composed again from Katie Reid, but her forward pass is cut out by Kendall. And Villa can use this now. Shifts it onto Salmon. Touch takes her back a little. Need to be a more positive one, really. Pokes it through the lines into Maltby. Breaking into the penalty area now. Here's Salmon. Gives it to Kendall. Good position for the shot. Really good defending from Reid, who gets back in effectively. Marnham out to the right-hand side. She's barrelled over in there. And that will be an Arsenal free kick. Harris' shock, put an actual number 10 on the pitch, but you're world-class forward up front and you score goals. Who would have thought? Yeah, they've looked a lot better. I think that combination's worked much better than trying to play Russo in the 10 and Blackstenius up front. I think Frida Marnham, yeah, she works harder in midfield than Russo does, and Russo's better at holding the ball up and then being able to bring others into the play. Smith's been a little bit rash on the right-hand side. I think, there's a great opportunity earlier on that she tried to play it across the box earlier than she perhaps should have. Caldente drilling it forwards into Russo. Good hold-up pattern. Physical but fair in there, and Villa can break away now. Grant down the right-hand side. McCabe will look to recover across. Needs some support in here now. The Dutch wide player, that's cut out by Kim Little as she tries to play it into Beijings, who I'm not sure was 100% aware that pass was coming to her. Mead. Back now to Caldente. Shifts it wide into Beth Mead. Is there an option down the line? Not quite. And again, she's forced backwards into McCabe. Now back to Mead. And Villa have settled in a lot better now, but McCabe will just... I love when McCabe does that. Just drives the ball through the lines. Everyone for Arsenal's trying to play a perfect pass. She just drives into the space. However, they have now lost the ball and it's Villa breaking away. It's a 3-on-2. Ball played in behind, looking for Ebony Salmon. Gets the wrong side of Reid. That's fantastic from Katie Reid. Salmon looks to touch the ball past her. Reid uses her body so effectively just to get between her and the ball and just manages to shield it back to Van Domselaar. Really good defending from the youngster. It's a good pass from Daly. Right area. Manages to pick out Salmon really effectively between the centre halves. But I almost think you've got to use Salmon as a decoy run there. And either go yourself and cut inside or look to play that pass across, because there was a supporting run of Jill Beijings. But yeah. Phil says Katie Reid is fast becoming my favourite Arsenal player. Well, it's gonna be a really interesting conversation when Williamson is back from injury as to what the strongest Arsenal backline looks like. Because you can't bench Leah Williamson, surely, but I just don't think you can play Reid and Williamson in the same side. I don't think they have very complementary profiles. They're very similar players in how they like to defend. They're both quite front-footed. They want to jump onto a player. I think having Steph Catley in there is really important because she's a little more conservative with her defending. Obviously, you can coach conservatism and calm into a player, but I think in terms of Catley's profile, she's really good at recovering back. And Reid's really good at stepping onto players and being physical and being, really comfortable in possession, similar to Leah Williamson. Wilms lick on from Daly's really nice into Beijing's playing a slightly higher role in this game. Catley wins it back though. Really good recovering from Steph Catley. Here's Mariona Caldente lifting it across to Fox, but she'll give away possession here. Now it's Rachel Maltby who'll look to just lift it in behind with Van Domselaar. Comes out well and claims it. And now Arsenal will look to come forwards. Caldente flicking it round the corner. Missy Burkearns as well to win it back. Strong but fair challenge. Can't quite pick out a teammate there. It's a 50-50 with Little. She wins the ball. Tries to just poke it through. But no one for Villa able to latch onto it. And it's now Van Domselaar. But since the Arsenal goal, first 10 minutes, Villa couldn't get a touch on the ball. It was all Arsenal. They had all of the possession, all the chances, and they were dominant. Since then, it's been all Aston Villa. Since the 10th minute. I mean, it's been more even, but I mean, Aston Villa have got into this game. Not been all Aston Villa. It's a slight misphrase. Here is Beijings. Plays it to Maltby. Now Ocean de Landes. Into Daly. Really nice control. Kendall just manages to breeze past Marnham really nicely there. And now Patton. Out to the right-hand side. Wilms. Missy Burkearns. Back to Lynn Wilms. So comfortable in possession, Lynn Wilms, and she'll just drive this ball inside. Now lays it onto Jill Beijings, who's under pressure there. Manages to poke it back to Wilms. who's become a de facto central midfielder for the moment, looks to play it in behind. McCabe, not the best dealing with it, but Van Domselaar cleans up her mess and claims it well. Yeah, McCabe just tried to head it away, ended up heading it back across her own penalty area, which is not the smartest move. Villa unable, though, to capitalise on it. Really good goalkeeping from Van Domselaar, who's looked a lot more comfortable today than she has in recent match weeks. Ball in behind, slipped in by Marnham. That's excellent. Here's Alessia Russo bearing towards goal, cuts the ball across the box. Wilms, though, there to recover it. And that's really good defending from Lynn Wilms, because Beth Mead was lurking at the back post there, waiting for her chance to score. This is a really good pass. I mean, again, what do you expect? You put Frida Marnham in that role and they've created chances and she's been a goal-scoring threat. Yeah, they should have played her against Manchester United. Should have started her against Manchester United. Here come Villa again, though. Maltby. Really good defending from Smith, who is getting back in, doing the hard yards. Here's Ocean de Landes. Nice give and go with Beijing's. Lawrence C. asks, Arsenal says Arsenal should sign a central midfielder so we can play Mariona as 10. Personally, I would use Caldente off the left-hand side. If you look at where Beth Mead is playing today, she's often drifting inside. I mean, there's a little bit of interchangeability with how sometimes we'll see McCabe go out wide, but sometimes we see McCabe invert. And I think Caldente can do that role. And yeah, I would then use a more natural defensive midfielder rather than Mariona Caldente, but she looked much better in that role than she has in recent games. So, yeah. I think in the last few matches, Arsenal really struggled to play out, but they've done better today. I think that Caldente little pivot hasn't looked quite as poor. And McCabe's done better inverting. I think it's really frustrating watching her invert and not be able to use her quality out wide. That's brilliant from Russo, who holds the ball up well. Now on to Smith, who wants to take on De Landes. Lovely movement from Olivia Smith. Can she get a shot away at goal? Cuts it across the box. Probably the wrong decision again there from Smith. Once she'd held that ball for so long, just got to shoot in that sort of position. Here's Fox, wants to take on Rachel Maltby. Great stuff from Fox. Ball across the box. D'Angelo comes and commits and misses it. But Wilms is there to sweep up the mess. But Arsenal have just clicked back into gear here. So a lovely pass out to the right-hand side. I think Smith, once she beats De Landes, just got to get a shot away there. Instead, she tries to cut it back across the box. But yeah, it's just decision-making that's letting Smith down at the moment. She's got the raw talent. She's beating players for fun. Here's Fox. Forced backwards there under pressure from the Villa structure. Pass now into Caldente, who manages to find a pocket. Fox, Caldente, lovely give and go. Pass back out to the right-hand side. Here's Olivia Smith. Now into Emily Fox. Pokes it on nicely. Kim Little. Can she find a pass through the lines? Lovely hold up from Little. Back out wide to Caldente, who's occupying the wide right space. Give and go with Olivia Smith, but she concedes possession and Villa now will look to break. Lovely combination between Daly and Byges, but Daly can't quite latch on to that forward pass. Now it's Kim Little. Smith. Caldente holds it up nicely. Back now to Olivia Smith. Wants to take on Maltby, but she's forced back into Caldente. Now Fox. And it's back to Reed and Arsenal settle into possession. Ryan Marjoram saying Arsenal have Palova and Cooney Cross for central midfield. True. I've been intrigued to see what we see of Cooney Cross because she's not been involved much this season yet. Palova, one we've seen, has been used as more of a 10, which I think is a very interesting deployment of her. I think, yeah, I think that probably shows where Slager's thinking is at. We saw when she came back from injury at the back end of last season, she was used more as a 10 rather than a central midfielder. Whereas I think under Idaval, she's used almost exclusively as a deeper player. Lovely combination down the left-hand side. McCabe tries to lash it across the box. Patton knocks it out of play. It's another corner for Arsenal. Joe Chow says, thank you for supporting the women's game. Thank you for tuning into today's stream. And yeah, absolutely love the women's game. It's a pleasure to cover it on this channel. Patton does really well. She had a really good game, Anna Patton. I think one of the Villa players who's looked most incredible and probably prevented Arsenal from being able to find another goal in this match. think Villa will be very happy with how they responded. Arroyo will be very happy with how her team has responded, because they were behind. They went behind quite early in this game. They were under pressure for the first 10 minutes. Corner doesn't amount to anything there. Smith manages to wriggle her way out of trouble, then does go down under pressure from Missy Bokearns. Not enough for a foul, ref. That is soft. She's given it after the fact. Took her so long to make her mind up. And I think there, perhaps the ref feeling the atmosphere at the Emirates and giving it the other way. I don't think there's much wrong from Missy Bokearns there. Smith was going down anyway. I think there's a bit of a clip in there, to be fair. But not the harshest challenge. I think a bit of a soft free kick. Chance now for Arsenal to make something of this set piece. And they've got Caldente and McCabe over it. And it'll be Katie McCabe. Looks to clip it towards the back post. Lovely run from Mead across the box. Chance for Marlon, and it's just wide. That was a really good ball from McCabe, clipping it over the Aston Villa backline. Mead timed the run to perfection. But Marnham just wasn't quite on the same wavelength. She knew what they were doing. The move was perfect. She was just a little bit behind that pass and she threw her body at it, but couldn't put it back into the back of the net. And Marnham narrowly missing the mark and missing the chance to have a brace in this game. Ball in behind. Rachel Daly will put pressure on it. Reed recovers it well. Daly, though, knocking it out of play. And that's out for an Arsenal throw-in. Here is Fox. And she's surveying her options. Goes into Mariona Caldente. Back to Fox. And that's out of play for a Villa throw. Now has been given as an Arsenal throw. Bit of a conversation there between the ref and the players before anyone made their mind up. Here is Fox. Lawrence asked, where's Jenna? I assume Jen Niswanger. Not sure. Is she not on the bench? Ball in behind. Looking for Mead. Really good recovery there. Yeah, not on the bench again today, Niswanger. It's been such a weird signing. I don't think it was ever one that Slager's wanted. With how little that she's used her, I find that as a really bizarre transfer. But maybe it was a sign that she wanted and she just hasn't gelled with the side, hasn't been fit, but I just find it weird that we haven't seen more of Jenna Niswanger. Now into Russo. Not sure if she's injured again. That is a very plausible situation. Here is Catley. Back now to Reed. Goes wide again into Steph Catley. And now she's forced back to Beth Mead. Here is Emily Fox. Out now to Olivia Smith. Positive touches from Smith, who wants to take on Maltby. I think it's been a lovely opportunity for Smith, playing against De Landes and Maltby. Maltby, who's a very young player, De Landes, who's very new to the WSL, coming out of the French league. I think what we've seen is that she's had opportunity, she's been able to beat players quite comfortably. And I think that's made her, that will help her growing confidence because she's getting chances now. If she can get a goal or assist in this game, I think that will help her confidence even more. And we've seen she has the ability. What a goal she scored in the opener against London City. But I think if she can have a little boost of confidence, a little bit more belief, I think she can start to come to life a little bit more. Here is Fox. Throw into the feet of Russo. Lovely hold up. Knocked out of play by Maltby. And that'll be another throw in for Arsenal. Natalia Arroyo protesting to the liner. I think the only person in the stadium, though, who thinks that was a Villa throw-in. And that's really good defending initially from Kendall. One back, though, by Marnham. Here's a chance now with Smith. Pass it back to Fox. And now Little. Catley. Back to Mead. Catley. Touched on by McCabe into Caldente. Little beats Mercy Bokearns, opens up for the shot, but Patton rushes it down well and is able to block the effort. Missy Bokearns flicking it in behind. Salmon giving chase. Reed, really, really good defending once again. How many times are we going to say that this season? That was phenomenal. Salmon wants to get around her. She just used her body so effectively. So she's having an absolute stormer out there. A stormer of a season, but a stormer out there today especially. McCabe back to Caldente, who looks to burst down the left-hand side. It's a pass to Mead that's cut out, and Villa can use this now. Bijings, that's a really good ball. Out wide to Grant, who'll look to cut it back now to Salmon. Tries to wrangle opportunity. Did that strike the arm of McCabe? Well, she's holding her arm. So if that hasn't struck the arm, that would be incredible. It looks very close to the body, is the argument. And I think McCabe is now down with some discomfort. I mean, she's holding her hand. So, I mean, we'll have a review of that chance. Yeah, too close to the body. She's got it tucked in. Nothing wrong, really, with her positioning. She can't, where else is she supposed to put that arm? But yeah, does strike the hand. It's in a natural position, though, so that's fine. But Villa player's right to call for it. Definitely did struck the hand of Katie McCabe. But yeah, not a penalty. Lawrence, he says, high chance that Jana will be leaving, I assume meaning Jenna, will be leaving in the January window. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see her move on. I think Arsenal, obviously with Taylor Hines coming in now as a left back, are probably fine in that position. I think with the fact they've got Pullover and Cooney Cross, she's probably looking at third choice in either central midfield position and third choice at left back. And I think a player of Nice Wonga's quality would want to be at least second, probably first choice. So, yeah, it actually hasn't worked out. I think it's a shame for Arsenal. What, £200,000 they paid for her? That wasn't there's no small fee. Pass out from Mead, looking for Smith on the right-hand side, who can't quite, does keep it in touch, but for Villa. And now Aston Villa can look to use this. I did go out for a throw in the end. Ryan says, Jenna doesn't seem to fit in since we bought her. Hines was brought in, so she's ahead of her. Yeah, definitely. I think that's the problem at the moment for Nice Wonga. Daly round the corner, well, into Bijings. Now it's Ebony Salmon. And Mead comes across, and she's physical and wins the ball back. And it's now Steph Catley. Back to Van Domselaar. That's a lovely drill ball out to the left-hand side. Not quite able to find its intended target, though, as Vilms knocks it down to Grant. And Villa here in possession as the half draws towards its close. And it's back now with Anna Patton. D'Angelo. Holds onto the ball well. Waiting for a forward option. A pass into Kendall, who turns out, gives it to Patton. That's a great pass into Salmon, who holds it up well. Looks to play it in behind. Grant looks to have timed the run well. Assistant referee with a flag up though. She was always looking to give that. I'm not sure. We'll have a look at the replay. It looked tight to me. Maybe we won't look at the replay. There's always that option as well. Cheers, Sky. It's Arsenal back in possession. There's been two of those now. There's been tight offsides for Villa, and you'd think normal coverage on Sky, you'd see a replay, the commentators would discuss it for a moment, then you get back to the coverage. Don't know why they're not doing that. There's been two now where Villa have been very tight offsides that the assistant referee's given that we haven't seen replays of. They may well be miles offside, but I'd like to see a replay at least. Here is Rachel Maltby with the throw. Looking to go down the line. That's not a bad throw at all into Salmon, who flicks it onto Bijings, who can play it out to the right-hand side now. Grant in acres of space. Villa looking to break away. Here's Chastity Grant. Can she work a shooting opportunity? Takes aim, but she just gets under it, and that's over the bar. They broke away so effectively there, Aston Villa. That looked so similar to the goal they scored against Chelsea, where they were able to combine really effectively. Grant was in acres. The problem this time was Salmon was the one who held the ball up. So she then wasn't obviously available to be that cutback option. She tries to burst across as quickly as possible. But yeah, that looked so similar in the way they won that throw and looked to combine very tidy combinations in small areas and then just execute that ball out wide to Grant, who holds the width really well. But yeah, they just weren't able to get players across to Grant quick enough. Feels it's probably too busy planning a half-time interview to worry about replay. So yeah, exactly. It's a shame. The coverage this year has been really weird across Sky and BBC. I can't complain though, because there's people who can't watch the game, so just it would be nice to see a better representation. Wilms. Now Daly back to Wilms. Beijing tries to flick it on. And it's back now in possession of Arsenal. Here is Olivia Smith. Holds it up to Little. Now Caldente. Out to the left-hand side. What can Mead make happen now? Plays it short into Marnham, who holds it up well. Shifts it now to Mariona Caldente. We've got 3 minutes of additional time in this half. I'll wait for the chance to go. Is Little. Tries to find Marnham. One back by Missy Bo Kearns. Marnham puts pressure under it. That's out for a goal kick. Yeah, 3 minutes of additional time in this first 45. There hasn't been too many stoppages. Sam was down for a few moments after Fox clattered into her. Other than that, though, not too much. Ryan expecting a hat-trick from Steiner in the second half. That would be surprising, but fair enough. Be one hell of a second half. A ball out from De Landes to the right-hand side. Here's Grant, brings it under her control well. Forward pass into Missy Kearns, who tries to spin too quickly though, and Arsenal turn the ball over. Can Mead make something happen here? Well, Grant gets back in. It's a strong challenge. I'm not sure that's a foul either. Both players commit for the ball. Grant comes away with it. That's more strength. There's definitely a hand on her, but that feels just more like strength to me. Denise says, Caldente and McKay passing not up to scratch. I don't think it's been too bad. They're trying to combine, obviously, very quickly. And it hasn't worked every time this season, but there have been moments where it's been really effective. There are also 2 excellent passes of the ball. So, yeah, it's been interesting. I think they work better. I don't know why they're obsessed with inverting Katie McCabe and pulling Caldente to left back. I'd rather see McCabe overlapping. But there we go. Caldente lifting the ball into the box. Here now is Mead. Flicks it up towards the back post. Russo tries to head it down. Marnham. Everyone trying to push it over the line. They can't quite manage it. And Villa look to break away. Fox recovers well though. And stops Maltby in her tracks. Here now is Beth Mead. Floats the ball into the box. And no one able to meet it. Russo will work hard to try and get there. But that is an Aston Villa throw-in. Phil says the space Villa are leaving will be a field day for Steiner. Well, it depends, because I think they're able to recover really well, Villa. So yeah, there is some space in behind. If Arsenal can find a pass in behind, then yeah, I think they could definitely hurt Villa. But Villa are very good at recovering. And their centre halves are very good at getting back in and being physical in that race. Here's Salmon, can't quite get that under her control as Kim Litter wins it back. I do just feel the Villa front line are rushing things a bit too much today, because they're working with scraps obviously, but they are just panicking. I thought we saw the same in the Chelsea game at times, where they just rushed it. And if they're a little calmer up front, they had more chances in the Chelsea game, which definitely helped. But if they're a little calmer up front, they'd be able to make use of the times where the ball does get up there. But that is half time here at the Emirates. Called a little early. The referee's got somewhere to be. But at the break, it's Arsenal 1, Aston Villa 0. A very strong first 45 minutes from Arsenal. They dominated the game in patches. In others, it was a little more of a tight contest. But in truth, they are merited in their 1-0 advantage at the break. The goal coming from Freedom Arnhem in the 10th minute. But I think looking just at the scoreline probably doesn't paint a true picture of how this game has gone. I think the first 10 minutes, Arsenal were excellent. They were putting so much pressure on Aston Villa. Obviously then that amounted in the goal, but after that we saw a real period where Villa were able to get back into the game and they had chances of their own. They just couldn't really convert them. Arsenal probably finished that first half, they probably finished it stronger. I think they started to have a few more opportunities. They were opening up well down the right-hand side, but unable really to convert them. But yeah, dominance for Arsenal for large parts of it. 9 shots to 5, 2 on target to 1, 3 big chances created, only 1 converted, 65% of the ball. 1.58 expected goals. They've had all the chances. The goal obviously was a very high XG opportunity. Frida Maanum, 0.55 with that one. Her one where she was the set piece routine where she just missed it at the back post. 0.44 as well, but she missed the target with it. So they've had chances in this half. They've had a lot of shots as well, Arsenal. But yeah, they've not been able to add any more goals to that early strike from Frida Maanum. As Villa have done well to hang in there, especially conceding so early. I think that was the biggest thing, was that 10-15 minutes after the goal, they really started to get back into the game, Aston Villa. Goal came in the 10th minute. The next 10, I remember a stat popping up on the screen, they had 60% possession or 62% possession. And that was, demonstrative of how they were able to get back into the game. They started to cut the attack a little bit more. They were a bit stronger in defence. It's easy for sides to crumble after conceding, especially when you set up with the intention not to concede early on, where the focus of the game for Villa today would have been not to concede. And then obviously look to break away and score if you get the opportunity. But the primary motive would have been don't let Arsenal score. And when you concede off 10 minutes and that game plan is thrown a little bit out the window, it's easy from that point to just capitulate and go, well, we're not going to get anything now. But they really fought harder from that moment. They started to come forwards with a little bit more belief. I do wonder if that's possibly Arroyo giving them a little bit more licence. Once they have given up that goal, they do look to try and play football a little bit more. They try and attack. I think the same was probably true in the Chelsea game, because that was 1-0 Chelsea as well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And after that, Villa really started to come into the game a little bit more and attack with a bit more freedom. So, yeah, I think that's interesting, but potentially Arroyo just giving her side that freedom to attack once they've conceded, because at that point the game plan to not concede is over. But yeah, they really needed another goal, I think, in that second half to be in a position where they'd look comfortable, or looking like that. Sorry, they'd look like they'd have an opportunity. I think from here, Arsenal will be able to probably look to score first 15 minutes of the second half, strengthen their advantage, and then be a little bit more reserved. So that is a slight problem for Villa, but it depends how they come out in the second half. I think if they can make the right changes and continue to make this game quite difficult for Arsenal, there's every chance they can hit them on the break. But Arsenal definitely played very well. They've definitely looked more comfortable in possession than they have in other games. They've looked better at breaking down that Aston Villa backline. I said at the start of the show that this would be a real good test for Arsenal today. Villa are a good defensive team. If they can break them down, then it probably proves their attacking credentials. I think especially after last weekend was quite poor from Arsenal's attack. I think they've really struggled to break down United. But today we've definitely seen improvements across the board. I think they've looked more comfortable in possession. They've been able to create more opportunities. Yeah, I think it's been a much more impressive showing from that Arsenal attack. There's a lot more fluidity in there. I think that using Frida Maanum and allowing Alessia Russo to play up front and be more of a hold-up forward has definitely worked very effectively. So, yeah, lots for Arsenal to be happy with in that first 45 minutes. I think a lot of the Villa opportunities have just come from Arsenal not being able to... Well, Arsenal have transitioned well. That's why Villa haven't been able to make the most of their chances. Arsenal have got back in well today, so I don't have too many complaints about the way Arsenal played in this game. I think build-ups looked a lot stronger. Probably comes down to Villa not being as strong pressing-wise. I don't think they've been able to put Arsenal's build-up structure under as much pressure. They're a bit more of a mid-block. They wait for teams to come onto them. And Arsenal play bad. Arsenal's problem is when teams press up aggressively. And they haven't really done that. Because Arsenal play with a midfield too, that obviously then splits into a single pivot at times. There's a slight difference. When you look at the way that Chelsea were playing, when they had the single pivot player, Kira Walsh, which is what they look to with a lot of their attack, their build-up phases, that allows Villa then to put their attacking midfielder onto that one player and then push their other two midfielders onto Chelsea's other two midfielders, because often Chelsea look to build it with a single pivot player. They'll push Cuthbert on a little bit higher, and they'll drop one of their attack midfielders in, and then obviously players move around as they progress. The difference with Arsenal is what they look to do in build-up is they often have the two players quite horizontal, sometimes with a little bit of a diagonal to them, but often quite horizontal, and then they'll split depending on where the ball goes, and by that point Villa's midfielder's been dragged out. But yeah, looking at that Marnham goal again then, I think this was a weird decision from De Landes to go into Missy Kearns. It was an even weirder decision for Missy Kearns to try and just punch that ball into Kendall. It's not really going to work, being surrounded like that. And then obviously Frida Marnham, really tidy finish. So to receive the pass in a good area and make the most of it and turn it into a goal scoring opportunity. So yeah, really strong. Phil says, get Ian Wrighty on the telly. He's the reason I fell in love with football as a kid. Yeah, a real inspiration. Love Ian Wright. But yeah, good to see him on this coverage. But yeah, I think this was a really poor moment from Villa. They had options. De Landes tries to go into Missy Kearns. It just didn't work. Arsenal did well though. Pressing structure. They're pushing up well onto that midfield too. Obviously with Caldente and Marnham in there, you're able to be very difficult to play through. So that's definitely a strength of Arsenal's build-up there. And yeah, they did well. They did really well to make life difficult for Aston Villa. But yeah, I think it's been quite an interesting first 45 minutes. Very, I think we've seen moments where Arsenal were very dominant and then others where they perhaps weren't so, but they've definitely been the stronger side in total in that first 45 minutes. But yeah, second half, not far away. If you have got some thoughts on that first half, feel free to leave them in the chat and we'll discuss them. If you've got any praise for Arsenal, feel free to put that in there. If you've got concerns, let me know that as well. Harry just chanting Ian Wright in the chat. Oliver Tossin says we should have had 2 goals already. Yeah, I think the Marnham one probably should have been a goal. That's a really nice set-piece routine. It's interesting to see Arsenal. Clearly, that's something they're looking at working on. Potentially having a chat with the first team who score about 90% of their goals at the moment from set pieces, or at least last season they did. That's changing slightly this year, looking to go a little bit more direct. But yeah, I think if they can add set pieces to their arsenal, no pun intended, then that's another weapon. That's another way that they can break teams down. That's another chance that they can be a bit more. There's another opportunity they can offer more threat from. I think what we've seen from corners, them looking to head it back across the box, hasn't been effective yet, but I definitely think it could be. They've had chances which probably should have been. I think they're looking to do the same thing with those deep free kicks. They chip that ball in behind, someone makes a run, looks to square the ball to oncoming attackers. So yeah, they've done well in that regard. But yeah, I think having that as an opportunity that they can make more of now is important for Arsenal. So it's good to see them making the use of set pieces. And yeah, that Marnham goal, or that Marnham chance probably should have gone in. A great opportunity, but she was just a little bit behind that ball. I just don't think the second half will be plain sailing for Arsenal. Yeah, I've talked a lot about Arsenal. I haven't touched much on Aston Villa. I think in terms of Villa, the problems have come because of the changes they've been sort of forced to make. I think Emirates probably would have looked a lot more comfortable in this game than someone like Rachel Maltby. I think in midfield, the fact that they have had Kendall, it's not the kind of game you want to throw Lucy Kendall in. She's not played badly, and the same is true for Rachel Maltby. They've both played fine, but I just think they look a little bit more secure with their usual setup. I don't think we've seen much of Jill Bijings in the 10. If anything, I'd be inclined to swap her and Missy Kearns, which again, we've seen a lot of interchangeability in there. So those two players have moved around a bit, but I think having Kearns higher at the field and having Bijings deeper in the field can work. Those two have been really nice to pivot throughout this season though. And again, that's probably an issue with having Kendall in there, is that you don't get the most out of those two players who've been a really nice pair as defensive midfielders. So yeah, I'd be interested to see what Villa change. I would probably look to the bench for Villa in terms of attackers. Someone like Kirsty Hansen, who's been really threatening. I think potentially Paula Thomas for her first game back from injury. If they can get her 20, 15 minutes, especially if the end of this game is a bit of a throwaway, then that would be good. I think they want to build up her fitness. They've got some really important games coming up. West Ham, then Leicester. That's 2 wins, or 2 games that should be wins for Aston Villa. Obviously, then going into the League Cup weekend and then international break. So I think they want to get a run of form going. If they can get Paolo Thomas fit, and obviously they don't now have Emirates for either of those games, or of course for today. So yeah, I think they'll be keen to get Paula Thomas back to fitness soon. So they could get her on for 15 minutes at the end of this game. That would be good. Moa says, I've got a US VPN. Where can I watch? Not sure what the US broadcaster is for today's game. If anyone in chat knows, feel free to put it in there and help Moa. But yeah, not sure. Harry says, I've not known a side to perform in all 4 matches but not win a single game. Well, they've had a horrible start to the season, Villa. Like, I mean, it's been 3 WSL games, hasn't it? And obviously it was a draw, wasn't it, in the League Cup? But they've had a horrible start to the season. A Brighton side who are top half this season, I would expect again. Chelsea who are title favourites, and Arsenal who are title contenders. So I don't think there can be too many complaints. In the League Cup in the week, considering they were full strength, that's probably a bit of a shame, but they were down to 10 players for a good 10 minutes in that game. And Tottenham are very decent, I think, now. I think Tottenham will be probably in and around that 7th, 8th position. I think they've shown they're really good against bottom half of the table sides. There's still a problem with the fact they ship about 5 or 6 goals every time they play one of the top teams. But yeah, I think Villa have just been unlucky with the fact they've barely had games. I think if they'd played that Liverpool game with the form that Liverpool are in, I think that probably would have been a win. But yeah, that's why, I was looking at the expected performance model this morning that we've got, and Villa are bottom of the table at the moment. But when you look at the games they've had, it sort of makes sense. The next 2 games, if they lose to West Ham or Leicester, there's problems, and then we'll discuss that when that happens. But if they win those 2 games, they're absolutely fine. They'll be on 6 points. They'll probably be in and around that 8th position, 9th position, depending on results elsewhere, of course. But if they win those 2 matches, they'll be absolutely fine. The concern will come when they don't win those games. Obviously, there's still 45 minutes to go here, and they're only 1 goal behind Arsenal. But I think the chances of them being able to turn it around and Arsenal not then striking back are slim. So it's going to be a really interesting second half. But yeah. But says Villa did this last year before Arroyo. Did this last year before Arroyo. I think fancy manager, good performances, but no results. Yeah, I think it's been under Arroyo. They started playing really nice football in a 4-3-3, but they didn't get results. They switched to a bit more of the shape they use now, the 3-4-1-2, and they started to pick up results a lot more. The back end of last season, they were really good at getting wins. I think the last 5 games were all victories or something like that. Yeah, all the last 5 games wins, and they had Arsenal in there who are very decent, Liverpool who were a tough opponent last season. They beat Brighton obviously on the last game of the season, but yeah, they just haven't been. I don't think there's anything wrong with the fact they start the season with a draw with Brighton, who are a very good team, and Dozie was really good on the day. A loss to Chelsea, where they were very competitive for large portions of that match, and then obviously today against Arsenal. So yeah, I'm not concerned at all about Aston Villa. Their run after this game is West Ham, Leicester, Bristol City in the Cup, Everton, United, London City Lionesses. If they come away with 9-12 points from that run, they're absolutely fine. If they come away with 15, then they're even better. But yeah, I don't have any issues at the moment with the way Aston Villa are playing. Just the fixtures have been really difficult. And yeah, I forget they are at a point. So yeah, if they win those next 2 games, going into international break, they'll be on 7 points. They'll probably be in and around, as I say, 7th, 8th position. Absolutely grand. They'll be looking to get top half this season. I think the top half at the moment is probably how it will be. The top 4, in a different order, of course. Tottenham will probably drop out of it. Brighton will probably be a bit more, be able to pick up a few more points. They've got Everton tomorrow. I think that's a game that they will favour themselves in strongly. So, yeah, Villa will be fine. But Harry says, as long as Arroyo doesn't lose the dressing room, the results will come soon. Well, that was the problem as well. They had that Dutch fella. I forget his name every time. I always want to say Peter Bosch. Robert De Paul. They had Robert De Paul at the start of last season. And, yeah, he just... They didn't play badly at the start, and then he just seemed to lose the dressing room, and he got sacked very quickly after that. But yeah, I think it's difficult. Oh, Arsenal about to get us underway for the second half. We're still down the tunnel talking to Renee Slagers. Second half, Arsenal will get us back underway, and it's Freedom Arnhem from the middle. Alessia Russo, sorry. They look remarkably similar, but then I realised she doesn't have any gloves on. So Lesser from the middle knocks it back and we're back underway for another 45 minutes here at the Emirates. Arsenal leading by a goal to nil thanks to Freedom Arnham's 10th minute strike. And there is a head injury there, and it is a free kick as well for Arsenal. They played out to the right hand side. Smith goes down holding a head, and that will be a foul and a free kick. But yeah, they both went up for the ball. One of those, just clash of heads. And Smith will receive treatment. But yeah, what a disappointing way to start the second half with a stoppage. Harris's clubs in September. Yeah, well, it's Freedom Arnham. She can do what she wants. Yeah, she was wearing gloves last weekend as well. But she's had a really good game today. Got her, give her a juice, played really well. Sorry, that was a change at half time. Rachel Daly off, Kirsty Hansen on. I think that's probably the right call. I was saying at the break, got to get Hansen back on there. They need that transitional threat. I don't think Daly's been able to combine very effectively, so I think that's probably the right change. I think they should have started, to be honest, with Kirsty Hansen. Not sure why that was a change they made. Considering that I think Hansen's played every other game for them this season. And she offers a lot more of a transitional threat, and she's able to combine, I think, much better with Ebony Salmon. But yeah, Smith obviously will be on the sideline for a moment as is concussion protocol. Does seem to have been cleared to return to the fray. McCabe here with a free kick, puts it into the box, too close to D'Angelo, who clutches it to her chest well, and now she's surrounded by Russo and Marnham, but she'll lovely throw into Chastity Grant, who can't quite get that under her control. Catley, a little clumsy from both Catley and Salmon, somehow giving Arsenal's way, but Arsenal use the advantage here instead. Caldente into Mead, can't quite poke it through the lines, and Patton will lash it away well. And McCabe will win the ball back, and that'll be stopped for Catley. Not sure why the ref is stopping the game for injuries now. Head injury, of course. Stop the game. Don't stop it for injuries, though. That was an odd one. There we go. And this is concerning for Steph Catley because it is her elbow. Just seemed to get caught in that challenge with Chastity Grant. And this will be a big test. We haven't seen anyone else play centre-half for Arsenal other than Catley and Reid. And they just both went in for the ball. I'm not sure I don't know where Grant's supposed to go there. That's why I thought it wasn't a foul when it first happened. There's two players competing for the ball. They run into each other afterwards. Nothing malicious. But obviously Catley has come off worse. And so, well, there's been a very disrupted first few minutes in this second half. I'm going to use it to pour myself another drink and do it very loudly in the process. But yeah, this would be a problem for Arsenal if Steph Catley isn't fine to continue because, as I say, we've not really seen Arsenal rotate their centre-halves much. And Steph Catley is down, not sure yet whether she'll be okay to continue or not. She's still being treated, and I think, well, I'm not sure what the physio has come to there as a conclusion. I think she's handing over the armband, or is she? No, she's putting the armband back on. She seems to be okay to continue. But yeah, so first 4 minutes, second half, the ball's been in play for about 30 seconds. But Catley will be back to, or will be allowed to continue in this game. That's a drop ball for McCabe. Goes all the way back to Van Domselaar, who just pauses, lets Arsenal get their shape again. And now we'll look to execute the ball out to the right-hand side. It's Smith who touches it down to Marnham, who will look to burst out to the right-hand side. De Landes with the safe option there of knocking it out of play. Says, what a weird collision, everyone in the wars indeed. First few minutes of this second half. We've seen more of the physio than we have of the football. Lovely flick from Marnham into the channel, ball into the box, and that is really good defending from Lynn Wilms there, shields it well from Mead and now can break down the right hand side, plays the ball down the line, really good defending there from Catley. who stops that ball, finding its intended target of Chastity Grant. And Villa broke away quickly. Good defending from Catley, who doesn't seem to be 100% comfortable, we'll say. Be interesting to see how she goes in this game. But it's one of those things that's going to play on your mind a little bit. She's just got to be mindful of that. Salmon, really good defending from McCabe, and that's out for a Villa throw. First says Magic Sponge and a decade-old tube of deep heat, she'll be fine. Yeah, absolutely. Use the non-league methods. Here's Vilms. Caldente. Here's his Beth Mead. Olivia Smith passes it across to Kim Little. Now Katie Reid. Catley out to the left-hand side. Katie McCabe under pressure from Grant. Grant wins it back. Lovely give and go between herself and Salmon. Beijing's and Arsenal turn the ball over. Here is Kim Little. Lovely pirouette in there. And now it's out to McCabe. Russo. Really good hold up for Alessia Russo, dragged back though by Lynn Vilms. And I think she's going to pick up a yellow card. She will indeed. So, Lynn Vilms. The second name into the book, I believe. Or only the second, I should say. Of course, Emily Fox booked early on. Ade Landes was booked for the collision with Smith for some reason. Ball into the box. D'Angelo out quickly to stop the cross from Russo. And now they'll look to play forwards. Actually, she's going to pause on the ball and wait. It's just taken too long. Hang on, what's happened here? No idea what the ref's given there. Offside. Go figure. Here are Villa in possession. I thought it's in the 8-second rule. I was like, there's nowhere near 8 seconds. Kirsty Hansen break down the left-hand side, cuts it across the box. Van Domselaar misses it. Grant, and that's just wide. Wow. What a let-off for Van Domselaar. What is she doing? Again. This is brilliant from Kirsty Hansen. Puts Reid under pressure, gets the wrong side of her. Great ball across the box. Van Domselaar thinks about going for it, leaves it, and that just catches McCabe out. It's a chance then for Grant, who just slices it just wide. Unlucky for Aston Villa. And well, definitely Van Domselaar is going to make Arsenal fans need a pacemaker at this rate. Here is Russo. Out now to Fox. Little poked into Mead. Now back up wide to Caldente. Can she find a forward pass? But I think that could serve as a wake-up call to Arsenal, or maybe not, as Aston Villa look to break away again. Salmon can't quite hold it up. Does win it back off Catley though, Villa. And now it's with Chastity Grant. And can she play a ball in behind? She can. Van Domselaar quick off her line, and she claims it well. Salmon unable there to break into space quick enough, really. But Villa are playing really well. I think Grant probably could have driven forwards there. She wasn't under any pressure to play that pass. They want to force it in behind quickly, and I understand they want to catch Arsenal out, but I think Grant could have held on to that for Villa for a moment. Here is Daphne Van Domselaar. Looks to play it long. Great hold up by Alessia Russo. And it's back now to Catley. Give and go with Caldente. Pass inside to Katie McCabe. And she'll now knock it down the left-hand side. And Russo will be hard-pressed to get there. And that's out of play for Aston Villa. Goal kick. But yeah, that was so close from Grant. I just don't know what Van Domselaar's doing this season. It's another one where she just makes... She's had so many where she either makes the wrong decision or just makes no decision. And that was one again there where I think she's really fortunate to have got away with that indecision where she doesn't know whether to commit for it or not. and then just leaves it, and that could have been a chance for Grant. That could have been a goal. It's just wide. Ball down the line looking for Salmon, comes off Catley, and that's a Villa throw. And now it's Salmon who throws it, gives it into Vilms, who is looking for a backwards pass, and it's now with D'Angelo. Knocks it out to the left-hand side. Great ball into Maltby, who flicks it down the line. A chance now for Villa as they break away with pace. Here is Kirsty Hansen. Wants to take on Reed and Fox. It's out for a Villa corner, and they can put more pressure on Arsenal here. They've just started to wake up a bit, or get into this game a little more, Aston Villa. First 10 minutes of the second half. Well, first 5 was disrupted by injuries, but since then, Villa have had, it's been all really one-way traffic in the way of Aston Villa. Grant went close. And then Hansen breaking out the left-hand side again there. Changed the game. Absolutely changed the game for Kirsty Hansen. She's just making life really difficult for Katie Reid, which we haven't seen, or we didn't see, happen at all in that first half. Pass into Ebony Salmon now. Gives it to Grant. Tries to hold the ball up. One back by Caldente and then given to us an Arsenal free kick. There's been a lot today where it's just players grappling or being physical with each other, and it just goes Arsenal's way every time. I'm not saying that, you know, there's some awful red mafia. It's just one of those where I think, I mean, we've seen home sides seem to get the rub of the green more, but I think in the WSL, big teams, all of them, seem to get more of the decisions their way. Flicked on there by Salmon. David Fraser says, when was the last time Cooney Cross played? Well, has she played at all this season, even off the bench? No. The last time she played was the reverse fixture against Aston Villa, where she played 45 minutes. She started in that game, was hooked off the bench. She hasn't featured for Arsenal at all since. So, weird. Really weird. I thought we'd see more or heightened involvement for her this season, but we haven't at all. But she is amongst the substitutes today, so we could see her. But yeah, there seems to be the centre-backs and the central midfielders, the two areas that Slagers just won't meddle with at all, even with subs. Out now to the left-hand side, Maltby, and now Reid. And then obviously, they're the areas of the side which are most important, the core players. You don't change them too much, but and especially in games where it's tight, you don't want to change your structure. Shot from range, shots of Villa wide of the mark, and quite considerably wide, I think, by the end of that effort. But Hansen turning well there, getting a shot away. But London City, they won comfortably. West Ham, they won comfortably. They could have changed some of those core areas. Really nice turn from Hansen in there. Just on the half turn a bit, leaning away, and the shot goes wide. Looked to take a deflection actually, but won't be given. Double change coming for Aston Villa, and as I said, they probably want to get Paula Thomas back into action. So for the first time since her injury back in March, I believe it was, back in March, she will now come off the bench to feature for the Villains today. Making way is Rachel Maltby, and then up front is Ebony Salmon, who makes way just before the hour mark with Georgia Mullett on in her place. So another change to the forward line. And a change to the left-hand side, so we see Paula Thomas return from injury. Really important one for Villa, with obviously no Emirates and some important games coming up for their season. Host of on Brighton or Villa, I'd look at a loan in January for Cooney Cross. Yeah, they're probably the clubs that would be most interested. I'm trying to think of anyone else in the league who could benefit. They probably are the right level, aren't they? I don't think Arsenal can loan any more players to Brighton though, because they've already got Kafaji and Adjaman on loan there. Would be the only problem there, but Aston Villa could definitely use her. Just add another option to their midfield. But yeah, I don't know if she's ever going to get a chance, even if she does go on loan. Mullett back into the box, dealt with by McCabe. It's the same really for Kafaji. She's started life, as we expected, really well at Brighton. I think that's more likely to be a permanent, though, at the end of the season, than she comes back and features for Arsenal, unfortunately. And we'll see, but she just has never been given a chance, really, by Renee Slagers. Rimple says, don't think that's on the cards for Arsenal and her. If I'm Cooney Cross, only way I'm leaving is permanently. Where does she go, though? United? Have they got any money? That would be... I'd love to see the reaction on Twitter if Arsenal sold Cooney Cross to United. Short corner into Thomas. And De Landes looks to put it into the box. It's blocked. That'll be another corner. Of course, is definitely really struggling this season. Absolutely. Not sure what she did with the Grant opportunity a few moments ago. Just, again, a bit of indecision. It led to a chance for Aston Villa. Another corner now for Villa. And it is De Landes looking to deliver. Villa with everyone here at the back post, and now they'll all start to make a run in towards the box, looking to confuse Arsenal. It's delivered in to the right sort of area, flick towards goal, just wide of the mark. Unfortunate really that Villa couldn't put that on target. Rumpel says to the Bundesliga maybe, United's midfield is stacked. Is it? Because I think if United could get rid of Nalsoon for Cooney Cross, Skinner would do it like that. Yeah, United have got Awujo, who can play the deeper role, and obviously Zigiotti. They've got Miyazawa and they've got Nalsoon. I wouldn't say that's stacked. It depends how highly they rate Mara Griffiths. But I think they'd happily lose Lisa Nalsoon and sign Cooney Cross, or even if they don't lose Nalsoon, because Nalsoon can play fullback, right back, and she can play attacking midfield. So I think they'd happily take her. But asking the United board for investment is a miracle. Here is Lynn Vilms. That's this game still hanging in the balance. Well, that's the thing. I think the longer this game goes on and Arsenal don't find that second goal, the more I think Aston Villa start to believe they can get something from this game. Ball down the line. Mullet with the nice hold up. Kendall, nice give and go between her and Beijing's. And Arsenal win the ball back. Here is Steph Catley. Plays it into Caldente. Down the line into Russo. Nice hold up from Alessia Russo. But it's a foul in there, and that will be an Arsenal free kick. Caldente plays it quickly. On to Beth Mead now. Can she get the better of Lynn Vilms? Looks to cut inside. Back to Caldente. Lifts it in towards the penalty area. D'Angelo out well, who punched it away, and Marnham was offside anyway. Jaime, welcome to the stream, saying, come on, you Gunners, go Arsenal. And Emily, welcome to the stream, saying, does it say the video is unavailable for anyone else on the WSL YouTube channel? Depending on which country you're in, that is very common, yes. If you're in a country where there is a broadcaster, then it won't be on. It's only on YouTube in countries that have no official broadcaster, I believe. So if you're in the UK, it's on Sky. If you're in Australia, I have no idea. I think it's like Optus, isn't it? And the US is ESPN or NBC, something like that. Beijing's nice hold up onto Missy Bo Kearns. Here is Grant. Good battle in there from Kim Little, who wins it back for Arsenal. Now back to McCabe. I find the decision to take off Salmon for Mullet a little bit of a weird one. I think you just lose a bit of goal threat. But yeah, I don't know. Bit of a strange decision. I think Salmon offers you more as an outlet and as someone who will run in behind than Georgia Mullet does. Change going for Arsenal. Caitlin Ford will be on for Olivia Smith. Smith's had an alright game. I think there were moments where she could have done a lot better with the chances that she had, but not a terrible game by any stretch of the imagination. Caitlin Ford now on as Arsenal seek a second goal to try and put this game to bed. Has a lot of trust in Mullet, clearly. Yeah, that's true. That's good to see, but I just think Salmon, if you want to win the game, Emily Salmon's just a better goal scorer, more reliable player. But if Georgia Mullet scores now, I eat my words. McCabe looks to play it into Russo. Nice hold up from the forward. Flicks it on nicely to Palova. Now Fox Into Mead. It's turned over well. And it goes back to Reed. Reed now down the line into Fox. Mead looks to play it in behind, and it's now Mariona Caldente. Can she pick out a teammate? Ball back into the boxes. Caitlin Ford tries to take aim. It's one back in there by Kendall. Little flicks it on, smashed away by Lynn Vilms. Here is Catley, hasn't dealt with that well, and Georgia Mullett wins the ball. And here come Aston Villa on the counter charge. She's got support with her, tries to play across to Hansen. It just doesn't quite work out. That was going to be such a hard pass to execute. I think Hansen's got to make a better run there. It's difficult. Paola Thomas a little bit wild there in her attempts to win the ball back, and it's given us a foul on Beth Mead. And I think that will be a yellow card. Well, actually, she may escape the book. Joe says, yes, Optus in Australia. Still, I can't watch it on there until I pay for a subscription. Yeah, everything's buying a subscription now in the UK as well. It's the way of football, really. Sky able to mark it up quite high. But the WSL does need to make money somehow. So it's difficult. But yeah, Beth Mead brought down there quite wildly. And an Arsenal free kick now. Here is Fox. Going to take her time out this one. Goes short into Palova. Now Rousseau. Mead. Back to Reed. Now it's across to Steph Catley. And Catley goes back to Van Donselaar. Yeah, second half, Arsenal haven't had a shot. One touch in the opposition box, no shots. 3 shots, none on target though for Aston Villa. But yeah, Arsenal just trying to see out this game. Similar to Chelsea against Leicester last weekend, it was not a fun second half to watch. It wasn't a fun game, really. But it got the job done. That's what Arsenal are looking to do today. But they are still vulnerable as Aston Villa come forwards. Thomas to Hansen, who wants to take on Reed. Strong, though, in the challengers. Katie Reed, who turns it over well. Now here's Fox. Little. Back now to Van Donselaar, under pressure from Steph Catley. Blocked by Muller. Out now for an Arsenal throw. McCabe into Rousseau. Now she's under pressure from Patton. High turnover. They get away with it. Here's Kirsty Hansen. Strike from range. Just wide. Got to hit the target there, Hansen. Got to make Van Donselaar work, at least. Just tries to go for the bottom right corner. But Rousseau, why is she playing as a defensive midfielder? She's dropping in so deep to even get involved in the play. That should be 1-0. Hansen drives it across goal, just wide. Got to hit the target. But yeah, change for Aston Villa. Ocean De Landes makes away. It's going to be Lucy Parker on in her place at right centre half. Or left centre half, sorry. I think she's playing today. Yeah, it is. So yeah, Parker on to left centre half in place of Ocean De Landes. Here is Van Donselaar. One back well by Villa. Here is Grant. Now Vilms. Kendall. David Fraser says, if Man City lose tomorrow, that's them out. Must win. Well, I won't be out of the title race this early in the season, David. But it would be a really poor defeat. I'd be more concerned about the fact they lost to London City Lionesses than the fact they've lost. Here is Lynn Vilms. If you look at Arsenal and United, they scored a combined 9 goals against them. Steph Catley under pressure goes for a reverse around the corner. One back by Aston Villa. Here is Bijings. And even last weekend where they beat Everton, they weren't incredible in that game, London City. So yeah, I expect Man City will win quite comfortably tomorrow. I think they've probably got the nicest fixture, bar maybe Chelsea against West Ham, because West Ham have just been so poor. Missy Kearns pass forwards, cut out by Katie Reed. Chelsea want to see a marked improvement in performance. Denise says this flipping back passing are getting Arsenal into trouble. What do you mean, Denise? If you mean like the up, back and through that they're looking to do, I do agree. I think they're often just looking to go forwards, backwards and draw Villa onto them to create space in behind. It's not really working. Oftentimes they're just getting pressed quite aggressively and then having to just try and squeeze a ball. A lot of times they get away with it because they've got really good players. But yeah, I do think at the moment they are struggling to progress the ball. Here is Emily Fox and she'll drive forwards well. Pass out to the right-hand side. It's Beth Mead now who'll cut inside. Fox in the box. Chance to score. It's blocked really well by Lynn Vilms who celebrates that clearance. And Villa will look to break. Hansen touches it down. Reed though reacts first and gets there ahead of Beijings. Here is Mariona Caldente out to the left-hand side now with Caitlin Ford. Back to Caldente. Has the inverted run of McCabe. Goes wide into Ford. Chance now for Arsenal. Ball back to McCabe who takes too long on it and Grant recovers well and gets it away. And now here is Catley. Yeah, McCabe just couldn't adjust her feet there for the perfect shot. I think she had to take a swing at it. Here's Caldente. Tries to clear it through the lines, blocked by Missy Kearns. Now it's to Ford who wants to take on Grant. Good defending from the Dutch wide player, but it is out for a corner. And now Arsenal can put Villa under more pressure from this set piece. Arsenal's set pieces have been really effective, but they haven't actually scored many yet. So that's the big thing that I think you'll want to see now for Arsenal is can they actually start to convert these corners? They've got a nice routine that looks dangerous, but can they actually put the ball in the back of the net? Very different question. Arsenal pass to the edge of the box. Here's Kim Little, lifts it in there and it's headed away well. And now Alessia Rousseau wants to beat Missy Kearns. It's one back and they'll look to break and it's Kirsty Hansen one back by Beth Mead. Here is Fox. Now McCabe. Great hold up in there from Palova. Touch looking for Catley. One back though by Grant. That's out for a throw. "18 minutes to play." And yeah, this is really good defending from Patton. She's been excellent today. I have to say, Anna Patton, really strong. Made life difficult for Russo in the first half. They're making life really difficult for Palova. But yeah. Palova, they're focusing on her for some reason. Miss Beijing's down, she's holding her knee, and this is a little concerning as she asks for the medical team, and Vilms is signalling that there's a sub is needed. And I think that looks to be the end of Beijing's involvement in this game. Yeah, just clashes knees with Steph Catley, and immediately Beijing's down, clutching her knee, indicating that she'll be subbed off. Dylan says, needs to be subbed off. Dylan says, am I the only person not impressed with Arsenal this season? I haven't been massively impressed with Arsenal. I think the first half in this game was a huge improvement. Anyone who's followed this coverage throughout the opening game of the season, where we obviously was London City Lionesses and then West Ham, I haven't been massively impressed with those games. And I said going into the United game, I don't think they'll win because they haven't shown that they can break teams down well enough. First half, first 10 minutes here, they looked really good. Some really nice attacking play. They were breaking down Villa effectively. From there, Villa got back into the game. And this second half has been so flat. Arsenal just trying to see out the game, and it's a professional job. It's exactly what the likes of Chelsea do. But I think that they'd want to get a second goal, and they haven't really done that. And the problem is now we're playing against a side like Aston Villa, who are really strong, is they've got to be really careful that they'll look to... But they've got to be really careful not to concede now because Villa will look to break away. Villa will look to find an equaliser. So yeah, they've got to be mindful of that. Kayra Pat, say, onto the stream, is that score real? Yes. It is real. Provided I'm watching the right game, it's definitely real. But yeah, that is the end of Jill Weijing's involvement in today's game, going down with an injury, and that will see her make way. And this is concerning because she's been a massive part of that Aston Villa midfield. And so that is the end of her afternoon. And Arroyo over to console her. I'm not sure who went on in her place. But Villa forced into a midfield change, and that will be Miri Taylor on to replace her. David Fresh says if City lose tomorrow, they will for sure be out that 7 points. Well, off. Well, they won't be 7 points off. But yeah, I mean, they're on 6 points now, aren't they, City? The maximum they can be off the title race. Well, I guess Chelsea, yeah, true, that could be 6 points. But still, that's not completely unoverturnable. I think the fact City don't have Champions League this season makes them a real threat for the title. Because I think there's a better chance they'll keep Hasegawa fit and Alex Greenwood fit and Khadija Shaw fit, and that's really important. Those sorts of players. I mean, I know they've already got Hemp injured, but I actually thought Carolyn looked really good when she came on in their last game. So that's Tottenham. Completely changed the game, just gave them a lot more directness. That game next weekend will be really interesting, Arsenal-Man City. Because I think if City play it like they have this season, it's going to be fascinating to see how Arsenal's defence deal with it. Because I don't think they've played a side who are incredibly direct yet. Like London City were first 20 minutes and they made life very difficult for them and then they just switched off. West Ham, I don't know if you can call it directness, or whether they were just pumping it long because they didn't really know what else to do. But even then, they tried to play out from the back and they kept getting caught out. But yeah, I think City Arsenal will be really interesting. That's next Saturday morning. Join us live on this channel once again, 12 o'clock. And I will have Harry alongside me for that one. Aston Villa throw now then on this far side. 15 to play. Still time for another goal in this game. If it's to be Aston Villa with an equaliser, that would be a big upset. And a crucial point for Aston Villa early in the season. If Arsenal can find a second, it would just make victory a little more comfortable. Out now for an Arsenal throw. It's now with Fox, who is surveying her options. And she'll go into Rousseau. Now Mariona Caldente. It's back to Emily Fox, who has the beating of Paola Thomas, is brought down in there. Deemed a fair challenge. Taylor then fizzes a pass directly at her teammate. Doesn't manage to clear it away, but it's Arsenal win it back. Won back well by Lucia Kendall, and they'll look to break away now. Aston Villa, Hansen has to be physical up against Little, and then Reed knocks it out of play. And that will be an Arsenal throw-in as Villa look to come forwards. Rousseau tries to turn it over out now for an Aston Villa throw. Not sure why that went backwards. Jess is watching on the phone and listening on here. That's the perfect way. If you're unable to watch it, then we can provide coverage. If you're able to watch it and just prefer an alternative commentary, we're also here for that as well. So thanks everyone that's tuning in. It's been brilliant to see the support on today's stream. Arsenal looking to break away now. Mead poking it forwards into Emily Fox. Fox touches it on to Caldente, who will look to make the pitch wider here as McCabe overlaps down the left-hand side. Can she now pick out an Arsenal teammate? McCabe wants to invert now, but she's going to be forced back wide into Mariona Caldente. Now it's Reed, who steps up really well with the ball. Back up wide to Caldente. Now down the left-hand side as Ford makes the well-timed run. Has Reed in support. Needs to use her. Caitlin Ford looks to go alone though, and it's not bad. Pass inside is cut out though, and Grant gets it out for another Arsenal throw-in. They've responded really well in this last couple minutes though. I said this last 15 could get nervy. Could Aston Villa find a goal? Well, it's been really one-way traffic since that stoppage for Biting's. Just now for McCabe. Fires on target. Brilliant stop from Sabrine D'Angelo. And now that will be an Arsenal corner. And yeah, McCabe firing on goal. Pushed up and over the bar by D'Angelo. So, I'm not sure if I've taken the corner. It's just taken a while to show it. Caldente, it's blocked. Back now to Mariona Caldente. Through the legs of Miri Taylor. Cuts it back now for Catley in a good position. Strikes and it's blocked. Now Kim Little will be forced back to Fox. Here is Caitlin Ford. Tidy control from Caitlin Ford. Wants to come inside. It's Kim Little now. But yeah. Arsenal still have subs to make in this game, of course. Only 2 changes out of 5 used so far. Villa have used all their subs now, after Bytings was forced off Caldente looking to clip that over the top. Thomas heads away well. Now Fox. One back again by Thomas. Hansen tries to get the flick on. It's Fox who wins it back though. Pass out wide now to Caitlin Ford. And she'll be forced back once again by Paula Thomas. Back to Fox. Now it's Katie Reid. McCabe. Back to Reid. Looks to go down the right-hand side again. And it's the American international Fox into Caldente. Lovely give and go. Back now to Kim Little. And it's wide again to Caldente. Pass through the lines into Ford. Can't quite hold it up. And now they'll look to break. Here's Grant. Switches the play effectively. Missy Beaucairn's got to play that ball. Lifts it in behind. Chance now for Hansen. Van Domser off her line well. And Reid does really well to block that actually, because that looked like it was going straight back to Missy Beaucairn's. That was a great chance. Ball slipped in behind now for Arsenal, and it's Russo the wrong side of the defence. Parker will try and get there. Russo cuts it back, cleared away by Wilms. Only as far as Pullover with a chance. It's blocked again. And Arsenal unable to find another goal in this game. It's back now to Alessia Russo. Wants to see it out for a corner. Thomas being physical, but Russo forced backwards. Now it's Fox who'll stop on the ball, looking to slow the game down. Russo again. Thomas tries to be physical. Seeing Russo towards the corner, pokes it out for a throw. And as we slowly tick towards the end of this game, Russo looked to go a little early there. And the liner, who's incredibly flag happy when it was Villa in the first half, not spotting that one is an odd one. We haven't seen a stopped replay, to be fair, but that looked offside from the replay we got. I'd love to see another version, but there we go. McKay pokes it through the lines. One back well by Kendall. Now can they look to play quickly? Lovely from Miri Taylor, composed on the ball. Here's Missy Beaucairns. Tries to poke it back inside. Fox as well, recovering back. And Arsenal now back to goalkeeper Daphne Van Domselaar. Here's Fox. Little with a tidy control. Back now to Emily Fox. And lays it into Mead. Here's Fox. Now Katie Reid looks to take on Hansen. Hansen does really well. Knocks it out of play. And that'll be another Arsenal throw. And again, Fox will go over to take it. Phil says, Amir Steiner hasn't come on. Yeah, I'm surprised there's not been more changes for Arsenal. I think they're starting to look quite leggy in midfield. And yeah, you know, Blacksenius up front is the right sort of change you make with 10 minutes to play. Bit of legs in midfield, someone like Acuna Cross in there. Just, yeah, so few changes. Pullover has obviously come on and Ford as well, but no changes to any of the back line or midfield, and obviously strikers remain the same as well. Just a bit of a surprise. Caitlin Ford booked for that one. The challenge was fairly innocuous, but I think booked for kicking the ball away. I think could have been booked for the challenge as well, to be fair. Yeah, she didn't kick the ball away, actually. It's just a foul. Yeah, shirt pull. I thought it was just the initial contact. But no, shirt pull in there as well. So yeah, Caitlin Ford booked in this game. Here is Fox. Slides it in behind. Great challenge from Taylor to intercept it. And now Thomas. Here's Parker. Back now to D'Angelo, and that's a long ball forwards, looking for Hansen. Reid touched it down to Kirsty Hansen, who beats Reid, but that runs her off the field of play and out for an Arsenal throw-in. Joe says maybe she's saving a few players ahead of the Champions League matches. Well, I think City obviously on Friday is an important one. Then they've got Lyon in the week after that, so it's going to be a tough turnaround there for Arsenal. And then who do they play in the final week before? We've got a 2-week break coming up because there's League Cup weekend, and then that's followed by the October internationals. I can't remember who Arsenal play in the week after, but yeah, they've got a run now where they've got Man City on Saturday morning. They've got Lyon then on Tuesday or Wednesday. Caldente brings down Grant, and that's an Aston Villa free kick in a dangerous area here. It's the right sort of area where you can swing it in from this right-hand side. And Villa now discussing how to get the most out of this. Mariana Caldente protesting her innocence, but it'll be to no avail. Just going to double check who Arsenal have actually got. Brighton after that. So that is a tough run of games going into, and then obviously Benfica and then internationals. But yeah. A reunion with Lyon after their, well, I should say Lyon, I should say OL Lyonnais. Still not a fan of that change. But a reunion after their semi-final matchup. Of course, Arsenal victorious in that last season. And it's Lynn Wilms over this then. Looks to swing it into the penalty area. Not a bad ball at all. Headed away by Alessio Russo. And Grant will get there ahead of Caldente and look to deliver the ball again. Has Wilms in support. Passed it to Wilms on her left foot. Not a bad ball. Perhaps dealt with well though by Palova. And now cleared away by Katie McCabe. And Thomas forced to put that out of play before that would break in behind. Tinge Yebwa, welcome to the stream, saying hi, welcome. And a change now for Arsenal, double change. It's going to be Chloe Kelly on and Taylor Hines on. McCabe will make way on this left-hand side. And it'll also be Beth Mead making way. So yeah, Kelly on, Hines on, Mead making way for Kelly, and McCabe making way for Taylor Hines. So a double change for Arsenal, and that will likely be the last substitutes of the game. But again, no changes at centre half, no change in defence midfield. I wonder who is actually going to play there if there are any injuries. Those players haven't had opportunities yet. We've not seen anything of Kyra Cooney-Cross, not seen anything of Leah Cadena or Lotta Ruben-Moy. I just find it strange. Here's Russo. Now Caldente. Knocked how to play well. Taylor Hines now with the throw-in on this near side. Only a handful of minutes left on the clock. I assume there'll be a healthy serving of additional time as well. We have had a few stoppages throughout this second half. And that's out of play for an Arsenal throw-in. And it's ball down the line. We just had to focus on Kelly there rather than the football. Mullett tries to play it back as Villa were looking to break away. One back in there, though, by Kim Little. And now it's Catley. Pass forwards. Caldente tries to flick it on. Give and go with Caldente and Ford. Now lifting it to the right-hand side. Nice pass into Fox. Fox could go wider still into Kelly. But she'll keep driving for now. Now we'll use that wider option. Kelly up against Thomas. Cuts inside well. Back to Fox. Back to Kelly. Looks to turn to break in behind. Now gets the ball in there. Russo gets the header on but can't direct it goalwards. Now it's Caitlin Ford. Wants to take on Wilms. Gets the wrong side of her well. Wilms recovers it and that's a really good goalkeeping from D'Angelo. Made herself big as Ford drove towards her. And a throw in on this near side. Hines into Caldente. Being forced backwards. Muller gets a touch on it. It's out for another throw. But yeah, Village haven't made the most of the chances they've had. Arsenal haven't been perfect. But only one shot on target in this entire game, Aston Villa. None in this second half. Just not good enough. Really. They've had opportunities to break away, but ultimately they just haven't been able to create anything. But yeah, not a bad performance from Arsenal. They've controlled a lot of this second half, but Villa have had chances. Or at least chances to break away, I mean. They've just not utilised them. Ball forwards from Arsenal. That will bounce all the way through to Van Domselaar. If she was under pressure there, she was in trouble because that was a poor touch. Got away with it. And Van Domselaar launching one forwards. Ford brings it under her control. Runs out of room though as Arsenal win it back. Here's Kendall twisting and turning. And now Caldente. Plays a forward pass. Here is Ford. Palova now takes aim, and it's a good save from D'Angelo to not just save it, but keep two hands on the ball. And now we tick over the 90th minute. And there'll be 7 additional minutes. Still time then for Aston Villa. If they can make something of it, they send the ball forwards. Catley knocks it out of play. Throw in heart the field here for the Villains. And now here is Grant. And it's Vilms will take the throw, actually. 6.5 minutes. Villa have got to start getting the ball in the box. Got to start getting shots on target. Here is Lynn Vilms. Gives it to Grant. Vilms back into the box. Headed away. Falls to Hansen. Can't quite make it go goalwards. There she is. In a scrap with Chloe Kelly. Ball into the box now. Headed away. And that will drop for Palova. Now Fox. Sends it forward. Arsenal now looking to put this game to bed. Parker. Plays it forwards into Patton. Who knocks it into Hansen. Who goes wider into Thomas. Chance now for Villa. Swung in there. Chance missing Bocan. Shot on target. Saved by Van Domselaar. Just couldn't beat the goalkeeper. And yeah, Missy Bocan just couldn't get the power behind that header. And Van Domselaar does well. It's a good stop. Grant gets the header. Taylor Hines down the line. One back by Catley. Now Hines. Miri Taylor wins it again, and then it's Missy Bocan's brought down, and that will be a Villa free kick. Phil says Reed player of the match again, maybe Little or Mariona. Yeah, Cannon say definitely an option. I'd say Reed's probably the favourite player of the match, yeah. Again, though, I don't like giving player of the match when there's 5 minutes left and the game hangs in the balance. As it stands, it would be Katie Reed. If Villa find a goal, maybe that changes. Which, you know, it shouldn't do, really. Reed's been excellent, but it could still change. Canante making way for Lotta Wubben-Moy then. And Arsenal looking to go really defensive now just to see out the last 5 minutes. So centre-back on for a midfielder. They're going to go for a 5-back. They're feeling the heat here, Arsenal. I don't know if that's the right decision. That's going to be draw them really defensive. Presumably 5-2-3. Palova will drop into the pivot now with Little. They're just trying to see this game out. I feel like they should have scored again to make this a lot more comfortable. But here we go. Films with this free kick. Puts it on goal. It's a big stop for Van Domselaar. She just saw it at the last moment. Gets across well. And manages to save it. But for a moment there, I thought she might just get caught out. Wow. Good stop. Really strong hand. To deny Vilms, who tried to do something a little cheeky. Good stop from Van Domselaar. Now, she's not had the best season so far, but got to give it credit where it's due. Vilms, ball in towards the penalty area, bounce around, chance for Villa, goal for Aston Villa. They head it down and power it home, and it's Lucy Parker for Villa. Arsenal 1, Aston Villa 1. And how important could that goal be for both these sides' seasons? Arsenal, 94 on the clock, have led this game since the 10th minute, but they're level now. And Aston Villa with an important goal, but now they've got to hold on. And Arsenal have huffed and puffed through this game, but they've never committed for that second goal. And now they're level. Oh dear, Arsenal. Parker reacts well. Van Domselaar caught in no man's land. And Aston Villa level. The substitute, Lucy Parker, converts from the corner. And that is a big goal in the context of this season. Arsenal threw on another defender to try and keep their lead. But that could be incredibly costly now. Denise says you could see it coming. Yeah, well, it's just been too negative, really. This second half, they haven't wanted to score another goal. Here's Catley. And Arsenal are throwing players forwards. 2 minutes left of the allotted additional time. You'd imagine there'll be another minute. But wow. How important could that be in the context of this season? They face Arsenal, they face Manchester City on Saturday. They dropped points to United last weekend and they're 2 minutes away from dropping points again here, Arsenal. Ruben Moy. How does Phil put it perfectly last week? Chelsea win on a bad day, Arsenal drop points on a bad day. Well, Arsenal, it's not even been a bad day, that's the problem. But when you allow a side 3 shots on target and then crumble right at the end to a set piece. But they just left the game in a precarious state. They never looked to kill it off. And against a side like Aston Villa, that's so dangerous. And Villa just launch it long. Minute left of the allotted time for Arsenal. Van Damselaar to Ruben Moy. Grant heading it away. Arsenal, all the ball, all the chances. They didn't convert them. Arroyo might as well be on the pitch, the amount she's run up and down that touchline, by the way. She just wants her side to fight now till the end. Can they hold on to what will be an incredible point away at the Emirates? I said at the start of the show, they've got a knack of taking points off the big sides, Aston Villa. They know how to set up in these kind of games. Here is Caitlin Ford. Can she be the saviour? Cuts inside, goes through the ball, gets it to Fox. Now here's Chloe Kelly. Can she be the hero? Ball into the area, headed in the air by Parker. D'Angelo tries to claim it. Is there a foul in there? It's pushed away by Grant. Here is Ruben Moy. She'll be forced back by the Villa press. Now it's with Catley forward up the pitch. Ford takes aim, saved by D'Angelo, and that could very much be the last attempt of the game. And they're frustrated, Arsenal. Because what a mess this would be. Ball goes long from Villa, headed away by Catley. Pullover drops in there for Kendall, who just launches that out of play. Arsenal throw-in. We are a minute over the allotted time. That's not a surprise. There was the celebrations after the goal, of course. But there can't be long left. Must be counting down the seconds now, the referee. Forward pass. Aston Villa coming forwards. But that is the final whistle. Arsenal drop points at the Emirates to Aston Villa. And that is a big kick to their blow. A big blow to their hopes in the title race. Arsenal won, Aston Villa won. Aston Villa fought till the end there. Arsenal couldn't kill the game off and they've been punished for it. And they slip further behind in their pursuit of a WSL title. 8 points from 4 matches. They sit behind Chelsea and Chelsea still have a game to play tomorrow. But that is a big, big mess up early in this season from Arsenal. They went too defensive early on in this game. They couldn't find that second goal to kill the game off. And ultimately, it's Aston Villa who take points off them in this draw. A big point for Aston Villa as well. Huge credit to them today. 2 points from 3 matches this season. And they've played the 2 favourites for the title and Brighton. But yeah, last season, Arsenal at the back end of the last campaign had the excuse that Jonas Eidevall was in charge of the first few games and they didn't win enough in those openers. But now, where is the excuse? That's the big question. They dropped points to United, they dropped points to Villa, and now they are behind in the title race. But that is everything for this show. We're back on Tuesday to discuss that in our weekly roundup. A lot to take away from that game. We've got more WSL action live on this channel tomorrow at 12 o'clock. We'll be live for Manchester United versus Liverpool. That again will be just me. And if you're looking for Harry, he'll be back tomorrow afternoon as we watch Chelsea take on West Ham. Both Chelsea and United with a chance to extend their points advantage over Arsenal. As for Manchester City, well, they could also jump Arsenal if they beat London City tomorrow. So a lot to think about for the Gunners, and they are in a huddle now with a lot to discuss. And I think there'll be a lot of frustration in that camp after that game. But that is everything. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in. It's been a fantastic stream once again. A little reminder, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you love the work we do here and want to support us even further, we're nominated for 2 awards at the 2025 Football Content Awards. So if you want to help us out, we'd be absolutely delighted if you could head over to footballcontentawards.com/voting. Head on over there. And yeah, vote for us. We are nominated for Best Young Content Creator and Best in Video Creators. So if you do enjoy the work we do, want to support us further, that is the best way to do it. Thanks everyone that's joined me for this stream. We'll be back for more tomorrow. But that is everything. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.